No, we were certainly not available
The
during
Gwynns don't sit in
the
the deep left field corner, Skraby.
I'm sorry.
And Chris Ello.
The only guys that are paid money are guys that hit home runs and have high slugging and on-base percentages.
It's time to get you up to speed on all things sports.
Yes!
With plenty of nonsense in between.
Oh, look! Here comes our fearless producer!
Gwynn and Chris starts right now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, what's happening in San Diego? Welcome into Gwynn and Chris. So good to be back in America's finest city. Chris Ello, Matt Skraby together in our Odyssey Palace studios. Tony Gwynn Jr. Yes, the Padres have landed. They are in South Korea getting ready for their season opening game against the Los Angeles Dodgers next Wednesday morning, 3 a.m. Make sure you join us down there at 7 Mile Casino for
That's
the viewing
right.
party.
Soapy Joe's.
Soapy Joe's sponsoring. Should be a lot of fun. Yeah, the Padres got into Korea okay. That means Tony Gwynn Jr. made it safely. We will not hear from him today. I imagine he is sleeping somewhere in Korea, getting caught up on some shut-eye there.
You know what you need to do if you haven't seen anything from that? Go follow Bob Scanlon on X because he is doing a great job of giving everyone a tour.
He's taking a lot of video.
Taking a lot of pictures, just
Okay.
explaining to people. I guess when they checked into their hotel, their bed had a San Diego Padres logo on the pillows.
Well, isn't that classy?
Yeah, it is.
I've
Dave
always,
Marcus was on the plane.
I've always said, stay classy, Korea.
Oh, is that right?
That's
Is
right.
that right?
And obviously they're handling things with class as the Padres have arrived safely there. Dylan Cease, was he on the trip or not?
Okay, he was not, but
Did you get that? Did we have to get TMZ on the case?
no, Bob Scanlon again was the one
Again,
who
Bob
answered this.
Scanlon. Okay.
He has been great reporting about this Korea travel. We're going to ask in the Big Five because Dylan Cease is going to join the Padres in Seoul. I believe he is leaving tonight for that. But
Okay.
the question in the Big Five is, what's the point of him going halfway across the world just to come back? And he's not going to pitch, but we'll get into that later.
He's a good teammate. What about Steven Wilson? He was probably all packed and ready to go
I feel really
to Seoul,
bad for
South
him.
Korea, or not Seoul, but to South Korea.
I feel really bad for him.
I'll tell you one thing. We'll talk about the trade here in a minute, but because when I went off the air yesterday, we still didn't know who the Padres had to give up.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to commenting on that. But before we get to that, I want to update you on a couple of things. First of all, the Mountain West Conference basketball tournament today, the first game, the top seed the top seed Utah State taking on the 9 seed Fresno State. And guess what? Fresno State is giving Utah State everything they can handle here.
Yes.
There is 2 minutes and 26 seconds remaining in that game right now. Utah State leads, but only by 4, 70-66. Fresno State's making it very tough on Utah State. I got to get my states squared away here.
Schools.
Yeah, the directional schools. But yeah, Utah State 70, Fresno State 66. They're in a timeout, 2:26 left. We'll let you know how that turns out. Once that game is over, it'll be about a half an hour until the Aztecs take the court against UNLV. You know darn well we'll be keeping you up to that date on that particular item throughout the program. The other thing, to make sure that we get clear to everybody today, Skraby, before we get too far into the show, I'm happily wearing fresh underwear.
Oh, thank goodness. I was going to ask you at some point.
I'm back, baby.
Thank you.
Oh, my goodness. We had such a long trip to Las Vegas. Congratulations to Stacey Terry Hudson and her Aztec women's team. They made a terrific run in the Mountain West tournament. They did sadly run out of gas in the second half last night against that really good UNLV team. The Aztecs were ahead in the second half. They had a 2-point lead, but UNLV was just too good. The Aztecs, 4 games in 4 nights, finally took its toll. So UNLV beat them to advance to the NCAA tournament. But that doesn't take away a great run, a run that kept me in Las Vegas for 6 days and 5 nights. And unfortunately, I did not, as we discussed yesterday, I did not plan out my underwear usage properly. So,
oh, gosh.
I know. Is this too much information?
No, but I thought about it for hours upon hours about how grossed out I was.
It wasn't gross. It's not gross to switch your underwear and wear it inside out. Nothing gross about that, Scrape.
Yes,
As a matter of fact, people on the chat were mostly in agreement with what I had done,
Well, you
including Ben Higgins. And if it's okay with Ben Higgins, it's certainly okay with me.
If you know what,
It just wasn't okay with you.
I will give you that, Chris.
Thank
you. Ben Higgins is turning his underwear inside out.
He's a television star. I'm only a radio guy.
And he's very
You almost
together.
expect that kind of behavior from a radio guy. But a television star, right? It would be a totally different story.
Yeah, you can't do that. As a
can't
TV
do that.
guy.
But Ben Higgins did it.
So that changes. My
Anyway,
mind.
I'm back home. I got a shower. I got some fresh underwear today, Skraby. All is good in my life. And it's good to be back with you here in the Odyssey Palace Studios. We got a good show lined up for you today. Jerry Palm of CBS Sports is going to be on the program. He is their bracketologist, and we'll get the latest from him as this Mountain West Conference tournament gets underway. Fresno State, by the way, just tied it up 70-70 now with 1:15 remaining. So this game's coming right down to the wire. Wouldn't that be something if Utah State, the top seed, got knocked out in the very first round? But
that'd be unbelievable.
It really would be. Fresno State had a really an awful season. And they come in as the number 9 seed, but Utah State now in the final minute with possession in a tie game. But Jerry Palm, the bracketologist, will square us away on what's at stake in the Mountain West Conference tournament, where the Aztecs are right now, where they could go if they win the tournament, where they could go if they lose today, et cetera, et cetera. So looking forward to that. We'll have our first 97.3 The Fan roundtable Padre, and we'll be playing the replay of that. This morning, it was Ben and Woods, it was Craig, and it was Annie. And who else? Was Sammy involved?
Sammy was involved.
I was supposed to be involved, but I was flying back from Las Vegas. So
yeah, I listened on the way down here, and
it's going to be great.
I'm always curious as a radio guy to find out how 5 voices are going to go together on the air.
Right.
But everybody was great, and everybody was very fired up about this, and I thought the roundtable was awesome.
Yeah, well, we're going to play that from 5 to 6 o'clock. If you are a Padre baseball fan, do not miss that. We'll have an hour of nothing but Padre talk from all of our hosts from 5 to 6. So you and I will be together from 2 to 5 today, as it were.
Yes.
And then we'll have the roundtable from 5 to 6. And then the Skraby Chronicles will follow from 6 to 7.
Last night it turned into the Skraby or Sammy and Skraby show.
Yeah, Sammy and Skraby.
So I usually end the Gwynn and Chris YouTube, and then I start a Skraby show YouTube.
Right.
But we had, and this is I don't like to talk about this stuff much, but this was really cool. How many people we had watching yesterday? We had, according to the counter, we had like 2,400 people.
No way.
Watching
on YouTube?
Watching on YouTube or on through X.
It's a good thing I've got
on X.
It's a good thing I've got fresh underwear on then.
I know, right?
With that many people watching.
Right. I mean, that would have been embarrassing if they saw the stink lines.
All right. All right. Let's get to Dylan Cease. That just went to overtime, by the way, in the Mountain West Conference game. Fresno State, Utah State, they are tied at 70. They're going to play a 5-minute overtime there in Las Vegas. So that means the Aztec UNLV game will be pushed back a little bit. But we'll keep an eye on that overtime for you as we go along. All right, Scrabe, you and Adam Klug, in my mind, are the world's biggest nerds.
Wait,
and the reason that here's why. Adam Klug, our program director, and Matt Skraby, the producer of this program, have put together basically what amounts to as a resume profile of greatness having to do with newly acquired Padres pitcher Dylan Cease.
Yeah, because there's so many detractors saying that the Padres overpaid. He had a terrible year last year. He's not good enough.
And those detractors have every right to say exactly what they're saying.
Sure.
Dylan Cease did have a bad year last year.
He did.
His ERA was 4.58. That is more than 1 run every 2 innings. No matter how those runs were gotten off of him, whether it was because of less than average defense behind him or unlucky on balls that were put in play,
or wind that was blowing out,
whatever the case, he gave up better than 1 run every 2 innings, 4.58 ERA. He also only won 7 games last year. But if you look further And believe me, Skraby and Adam have looked further.
I'm going to give this the research to Adam. I just discussed it.
You just discussed it.
Yes.
Dylan Cease is still the man, even 1 year removed from his brilliant season of 2022 in which he finished second in the Cy Young balloting. So I'll let you read some of these things, and then I'll try to figure out what they all mean.
Okay.
Give me some of the Dylan Cease statistics that prop him up as a really, really good pitcher, as opposed to a guy that was very mediocre in the eyes of most people last season.
I'm going to start with ERA plus, and this is not on that tweet, but we'll get to it.
All right.
ERA plus is a scale that I use to determine how good a player is playing. So if you're at 100 ERA plus, you're an average player around Major League Baseball. Anything over 100 means that you are an above average player. Anything under 100, you're a below average player.
All right.
Now, I know he was a below average player according to ERA plus last year at 97. But for a guy who had a quote unquote terrible season last year,
right,
he came out as an average pitcher or slightly below an average pitcher. So,
but let me ask you this. And first of all, how do you even figure out ERA plus?
Baseball Reference. Oh,
no, I know you can figure out by reading it on Baseball Reference, but how do they arrive at the number of 97?
That's a good point.
I mean, that's my question. A ERA plus makes it sound like Dylan Cease was an average pitcher last year. He was a 97 on a scale where 100 is exactly the league average. To compare, though, Dylan Cease from the Cy Young season or the second place Cy Young season of 2022, that year, he was a 180 ERA plus.
Which means he was exceptional.
Exceptional. But last year, he was a 97. So you're trying to tell me this is a good statistic. I'm trying to tell you this shows that he was only half as good last year as he was the year before.
Here's what I'm telling you.
That's not very good.
Here's what I'm telling you. So ERA plus is calculated to have a league-adjusted number, and it's calculated by taking the league average ERA, dividing that by the pitcher's ERA, multiplying by 100.
All right. Well, that sounds a little crazy to me, but whatever it is, he was great in 2022. He was less than average last year.
Yes.
So if you're going to, based on that statistic, ERA plus, and you like that one.
I do.
All right. Based on that, the Padres traded away 3 good prospects and a good reliever for an average starting pitcher
last year.
Okay, but I'm telling you, this is why a lot of people are being critical of this trade.
Let me tell you about the rest of the stats.
I will let you.
All right. So his ERA, we've already established 4.58. Now his xERA, which is expected ERA, which takes into account different factors and variables, he actually had an expected ERA that was slightly lower, not incredibly lower, but it was 4.07. So the expected ERA tells you that he was better than his actual ERA.
All right. So that takes into account the fielding behind him, some of the wind conditions, some of the hard hit balls.
Stuff like
so
that.
even a 407 isn't exactly spectacular, but it's better than 4.58. We'll give you that one.
The next one is one that is called FIP, fielding independent of a pitcher. FIP is something with, it's the independent fielding for a pitcher. It was 3.72. The xFIP, the expected FIP, 4.08. So he was better there. Now
again, 3.72, is that better or worse than the 3.10 that he was the year before that in FIP?
I believe it's better.
It was better last year. So he actually had a better FIP last year than he did the year before.
Yes.
Okay. Whatever that means.
See, I'm not a big FIPper.
You're not a FIPper. All right. Well, let's move on from that one.
Okay. So the highest BABIP, which I am a BABIP guy, batting average on balls in play. So this takes into account how unlucky you are. So if the higher your BABIP is, the more the more it's supposed to be a hit.
Okay.
His BABIP last year was 330. So he was getting extremely unlucky last year because the balls that were put in play ended up falling 33% of the time.
Right. He gave up a 333 average on balls put in play.
Yes.
One thing that BABIP doesn't discuss, though, is how hard those balls were hit.
Correct.
So if it was a bunch of blue pits, I can agree with you that he might have been unlucky. If it was a bunch of line drives off the fence,
that's a different story.
I find it hard to agree with you that he was lucky, but his BABIP says he was better than he was. Gotcha.
Also, his defense, behind him last year, worst in
Terrible.
baseball.
Yeah, we all know that one. The
All
White
right.
Sox defense was very bad behind him.
2 more.
Okay.
The lowest left on base percentage since his rookie year, 69.4 in 2023.
Okay.
So that's good.
All right,
He
good.
stranded lots of runners. Second lowest home run per fastball rate of his career at 10.2%. Now I don't. That's just.
I
a
don't get
number.
that
Yeah,
one.
that one I'm not going to.
Here's the one that I'm gonna get really behind Dylan Cease. All right.
All right.
The first bunch of them, I don't know that it makes him look any better or worse. It's all analytics. It's a little over my head. You know, I'll go ahead and agree with some people who think his analytics say he's better than he was. But the one thing that I can get behind is the fact that in the last 3 seasons combined, he's had more swing and misses on his pitches than any other pitcher in baseball.
That's one we can definitely pay attention
that
to.
I can pay
That's
attention
a raw
to.
number.
That's a raw number. He has thrown more pitches in the last 3 years that have been swung at and missed than any pitcher in baseball. That tells me he's got electric stuff. That right? I mean, that to me is an easy one to quantify. So if you're into that, he also had more strikeouts than any other pitcher in baseball the last 3 years.
I have to make a correction on the left on base percentage.
I don't know if we care that much.
I think we do, because someone in the chat, Hassan Kim, everybody in the chat, says these guys don't understand analytics. And you know why? You know why?
We don't.
Because they're fake numbers.
Yeah. Do you? I mean, whoever's writing that, do you understand analytics?
The name is Hassan Kim, so of course.
Why does Hassan Kim have to understand analytics?
No, analytics are great sometimes, and analytics are really a way for people to try to prove their point with numbers that are imaginary. They're taken from real numbers and manipulated to make another number, and I don't understand that.
No.
I just like the raw
We
numbers.
could argue this forever, but obviously all I need to know is that Dylan Cease in 2022 was easily one of the best pitchers in baseball. 14-8, 2.20 ERA with 227 strikeouts in just 184 innings. Last year, he was at best a below average pitcher.
Yes.
With a 7-9 record, a 4.58 ERA, and even an ERA plus that was below the league average. He still, though, struck out 214 in 177 innings. He does have great stuff.
He does.
He's hard to hit. But last year, when they hit him, the balls were in play and they landed, and a lot more runs scored against him last year than did the year before.
Okay, here's my correction on left on base percentage. The higher the number, the worse it is. Okay. I made that mistake. So he had the lowest left on base percentage since his rookie year.
All right. The overtime has gone all the way of Utah State. They're inside of a minute to go now in overtime. Utah State has scored 10 points in the overtime. Fresno State has scored 0. So it went from 70-70 at the end of regulation to 80-70 in favor of Utah State now with less than a minute to play. It looks like the Aggies are going to survive. That's who the Aztecs or UNLV will play next. We'll continue talking about all of these numbers and whether or not the Padres gave up too much for Dylan Cease.
Sorry. One more fact of raw numbers, because this actually says something too. The last 3 seasons, he struck out 200 or more batters, and it does not matter if he had a bad team behind him. He's still striking out guys.
I think I mentioned all of his strikeouts. He
Thank
has
you.
more
you
than
probably did.
I did. You weren't paying attention.
I was somewhat.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Numbers are for nerds. I don't want to make fun of people who are analytics people, but some of these numbers are just ridiculous.
I agree a lot more with the numbers are nerds comment than I do with the you guys don't understand analytics, because guess what? No one truly does.
It's all interpreted.
Gwynn and Chris underway for a Thursday. Glad you're with us. Good to be back in San Diego. Aztecs are playing about a half an hour. We'll keep you up to date on that as we roll along on 97.3 The Fan.
Don't have
All right, welcome back to Gwynn and Chris. Underway for a Thursday. Chris Ello, Matt Skraby together in our Odyssey Palace studios in San Diego, California. Tony Gwynn Jr. has gone halfway around the world. He's in Korea. The Padres have landed there. I think they landed a few hours ago, Skrabe. Sounded like
it was like 4 hours ago, maybe?
Yeah, about a 13 and a half hour ride over to Korea.
No problem.
No problem. They're all resting and trying to get over the jet lag. Fresno State took Utah State to overtime, but in the overtime, Utah State ran away to an 87-75 victory. So the top seed in the Mountain West is still alive, and Utah State will play either the Aztecs or UNLV in the semifinals tomorrow night. The Aztecs and Rebels will tip off about a half an hour from right now. A couple of the other top seeds around the country won today as well. UConn beat Xavier 87-60.
Wow.
Top seed in the Big East. Top seed in the ACC, North Carolina rolled Florida State 92-67. Top seed in the Pac-12. You remember the Pac-12, don't you?
I can't even believe they're still even doing this thing.
This is it.
It's so random.
I know, it's so weird. They're still playing in the Pac-12. Arizona routed Bronny James and USC 70-49. Is Bronny James really going to try to go into the NBA? He's like the 8th best player on a lousy team in college basketball.
Unless
I mean, I know who his dad is. I mean, you talk about the all-time situation of nepotism, right? Yes. I mean, this guy is not a very good player. He's got a great name.
I think he knows he needs to work on some stuff.
He's got a long way to go, I would think. And I'm no scout.
No, but you can tell if he's not the best player on his team, then
he's not even close to the best player on his team. I mean, it's not even a conversation.
Unfortunately for him, he is going to be just scrutinized like crazy.
Yeah,
everywhere he goes.
That's okay. To me, that's an advantage for him that he's getting scrutinized. People are, watching what he's doing. But what they're seeing, I would think, is that there's no way he could play in the NBA.
You know what? Actually, someone makes a great point on the chat. Derek does. He did have a heart attack in the beginning of the year. Yeah. So maybe that's something
that's fair.
Held him back.
But that's part of your makeup,
you can't make the
unfortunately.
NBA
All right. Dylan Cease is a Padre. The question at hand is whether or not the Padres gave up too much. When I saw that Drew Thorpe had been traded, my reaction was, okay, I don't feel great, but you got to give up something to get something.
Yeah.
So
of course.
There you go. Drew Thorpe, thanks for the visit.
Thanks for the memories.
Thanks for the memories. When I saw that, Iriarte? Iriarte had gone. When I saw that Zavala had gone, again, they all sound like good prospects, but the Padres have better prospects than those two guys. All right? So it's not like you gave away something and left the cupboard bare. I'll be honest with you. The one that bothered me the most was Steven Wilson.
That is tough.
I like Steven Wilson in that bullpen.
Yeah.
That, to me, is a known commodity. Prospects are prospects.
Yes.
That's all they are.
Yes.
Steven Wilson is a legit major league reliever and has been for a couple of years.
I also heard he has picked up some speed on his fastball too.
That is the one guy that really kind of leaves me, a little bit, not feeling great. And I know that the Padres have other relievers. They signed Go. They signed Matsui. You've got some other guys that are coming back. Suarez and on it goes. But I think Steven Wilson's going to be hard to replace. I think he was a really, really important part of that bullpen. And I understand that bullpen pieces are just that. But Steven Wilson was a reliably good bullpen piece.
Yeah.
And
you felt good when he came out of the arm bar.
Yeah, I liked him. So with him being traded, in my mind, it is now really up to Dylan Cease to be Dylan Cease 2022.
Yes.
Because if he's Dylan Cease 2023, then this was a crappy trade. And that's all I can say about it. But it's to be determined.
It is to be determined.
I mean, if this guy's second in the Cy Young Award balloting, then you stole him from the White Sox. So that's kind of where I come down on that.
I guess the morning show was explaining it this way. They had a good point. Think of it as a three-team trade with the Yankees, which is kind of also my favorite part, that they got Drew Thorpe in the Juan Soto thing, and the Yankees didn't want to include Drew Thorpe. And then when the Yankees went after Dylan Cease, they were like blocked out by the Padres, who traded Drew Thorpe,
their guy,
to get Dylan Cease.
Yeah. Well,
So that
too
is
bad,
kind of
Yang.
fun.
Hang with
Wandy
them,
Peralta,
Yanks.
another reliever who's been pretty good this spring
Wandy
training.
Peralta, right? Another addition. So
Drew Thorpe has thrown 7 innings in a Padres uniform
and they
of
were
spring
good.
training baseball.
And they were good. But Drew Thorpe is a few years away, and Dylan Cease is not. So you want to be better in 2024 and 2025, you make the trade. And that's what the Padres did. And I don't really understand why so many people are anti that trade, because if nothing else, the Padres are trying to be better right now. I would think that's what many of you want.
Manny and Fernando aren't getting younger.
It seems like that's what many of you were upset by when they traded Juan Soto and brought young people in. You thought, oh, aren't we trying to win anymore? Now they make a trade trying to say, yes, we're trying to win now. Guess what? People are upset about that.
I feel like I have a pretty good pulse on Padres fans, but this surprised me about the reaction, because Padres fans have been asking for a big move. There's the big move, and now all of a sudden some Padres fans don't like the big move.
Right.
Which I understand that some people can have that feeling, but I'm excited about this.
You people are hard to please out there.
They are.
But we'll continue to try and do our best. When we come back, Jerry Palm, bracketologist from CBS Sports, joins us. Looking forward to this conversation with the NCAA tournament right around the corner. More Gwynn and Chris coming up. All right, let's get right back to it. 2:39 is the time. Chris Ello, Matt Skraby, together in our Odyssey Palace studios here in lovely San Diego, California, where I saw some raindrops on the. So everybody, be careful out there. You know what a little rain in San Diego means.
I can't take any more mud.
I know it's weird. It is a little weird with all the rain, but I know. Let's try not to shut down the city this time. I am such a fan of all bracketologists. I think it's really a cool, fun thing to get to do. And I love reading this stuff, and I eat it up. And Jerry Palm from CBS Sports is their bracketologist, and he's nice enough to squeeze us into his busy day. Jerry, how are you? Thanks so much for the time.
I'm all right. How are you?
We're great. We are really good. Let's start with the Mountain West Conference. We just saw Utah State beat Fresno State. It was overtime that could have hurt Utah State. Imagine had they lost that game, they did not. What's at stake for San Diego State as they go into this tournament? I know it's at stake for UNLV. They kind of got to win it or else. But how about the Aztecs? They're kind of in a 5-6 spot. Can they go up? Can they go down if they lose today?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that a loss could knock them down a little bit. It depends on what other teams do. You have to keep in mind that only, in that part of the bracket, 7, maybe 8 teams are going to win a conference championship, and everybody else is losing their last game. So you can't just overreact to a loss. But for San Diego State, they've got a chance to move up. They could probably get as high as a 4 if they won this tournament, and maybe even a 3. And if they don't, I'd be surprised to see them as low as a 6.
Jerry, the Aztecs seemed like they were in a spot to get maybe a 3 or a 4 before this recent stretch. But none of the losses were necessarily bad. But honestly, even though I'm an Aztec, I like the fact that they were dropped a little bit because they were losses. I mean, it should count for something.
Yeah, I mean, it does. Look, they're not bad losses. They haven't lost anybody where you start to worry about them or anything like that. It's just, you're in a good league, and sometimes it doesn't go your way. And when you're playing these other good teams.
We were talking to Jerry Palm, and also his projections were just up on our screen on CBS Sports Network here in studio.
Famous.
Yes, You are very famous. You had the Aztecs at a 6. Is that correct?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, he's got him there. Yeah,
I might have had him as a 6. So I don't think they'll get lower than 6.
All right. My question might be a little strange, but that's what I do here. And if you're a team like the Aztecs, what is the best seed, in your opinion, for a team like them, where they're not in the major conferences, but they're still a good team and they can still make do some damage in the tournament? What do you think is the best seed for someone like them?
Well, they were 5 last year and got to the Final Four.
Good point.
So, a 6 means that you go a longer period of time without seeing a 1. But you're going to get a 3 and a 2 before you see a 1. Right. So you're going to have to beat some good teams. It doesn't really matter where you're seated. At some point, you're going to have to beat some good teams if you're going to advance in this thing as far as you want to go.
Jerry Palm is with us. Jerry, you had 6 teams in the Mountain West going to the tournament right now. That would be a record for the conference. We've heard about it all season, but New Mexico is a last 4 in, and they've got to play Boise State tonight, which is a really good game and a really good team. And they're going to be playing late at night. I don't know if anybody's going to see the game. They won't get over till you'll be up, right? Because you're doing your thing. But is this kind of it for New Mexico? I mean, if they win it, can they sleep easier? And if they lose it, are they really in danger?
Yeah, I guess it is kind of like that. I mean, the one that really would have put us in danger would have been yesterday. Losing to Boise State. I mean, they could still make it if they lose to Boise State, but if they beat Boise State, then I think they're set. They'll get in. The biggest thing for New Mexico this year has always been the inability to beat good teams away from home. They did beat Nevada, and that's why they're in the bracket at all. But if they could get one more like that, then that would really be something that would give them a little cushion.
Talking to Jerry Palm of CBS Sports here on 97.3 The Fan, bracketologist for CBS Sports. And I'm going to go away from the bracketology just for a second, but ask about Brian Dutcher, because he was extended by the Aztecs through 2028. And it didn't surprise us here in San Diego, but I talked to some people outside of San Diego, and it did kind of surprise them that he didn't try to go find a better paying job. What do you think about Brian Dutcher being extended by San Diego State?
I thought it was a smart move on their part to get that done. Somebody asked me the other day, how does the Mountain West maintain this level of success? And the biggest thing is to retain the coaches, which is, has been difficult to do. Steve Alford's been around for a while now. Brian Dutcher has been around probably the longest. Richard Pitino has been at New Mexico now for a little bit. So, but Danny Sprinkle's brand new, and he won the league.
Yeah.
He inherited a team that had 0 points returning from last year and found a way to win the league, which is just remarkable. And Leon Rice has been at Boise State for quite a while too. So it's the ability to retain coaches and have some continuity with your programs, especially your better ones, in order for this to maintain its status as a high quality league, at the very least at the top.
Jerry Palm, the CBS Sports bracketologist. It's March Madness. This is our time of year. It's his time of year. Jerry, the Aztecs made that run last year, so we know that they could potentially do something like that again if they get on a lucky streak. Which of the other teams from the Mountain West do you think has the best chance to make some Sweet 16 type noise this year in the tournament? Because even though all these teams are going to get in, none of them are going to be higher than a 5 seed, most likely. Maybe one team will get a 4. So a Sweet 16 run means one of these teams is going to have to upset somebody to get there. Who can do it?
Yeah. I guess I would start with Utah State. They were good enough to win the league, a very good league. So they are probably, I don't know if they're going to get the highest seed because of, non-conference results have something to do with that too. And these teams are really bunched together. So the conference tournament could have something to say about it. But, Utah State has been really good over the final 2/3 of this season. But a lot of it's really going to have to do with the draw, the matchups you get. I think that, Utah State, San Diego State, Boise State, Nevada, they're all capable of a, second weekend run if they get the right draw. But, a lot of it's just going to depend on the matchups.
We're talking to Jerry Palm, CBS Sports here on 97.3 The Fan, and Jaden Ledee has been awesome this year. He, isn't going to probably be a first-team All-American, but what are your thoughts on Jaden Ledee and his status among all the other basketball players?
Yeah, he's had a tremendous season. He may not be first-team All-American, but I'd be surprised if he wasn't on an All-American team, second or third for sure. A tremendous year in the league. He was a good player last year for them too. A big part of them making that run to the Final Four. So I think that he's tremendous. I don't know anything about his pro prospects. It's not really my area of expertise, but I think that
ours either.
I think he'll see his name on an All-America list somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. Jerry, how did your career as a bracketologist develop, and where has it come to from where it was when you first started doing this? I don't know how many years ago, because I know I started 30 years ago.
Wow.
But 30 years ago there wasn't the internet for everybody to read all of your bracketology.
Yeah, exactly.
Now now it's something we all have to watch. Tell me how it's kind of evolved a little bit in your mind.
Yeah. When I first started doing it, I was teaching, my degree is computer science. I was a programmer for lawyers and bankers. And I had a new computer, new database software, and they had just changed the RPI formula. So now I have the formula, and I just, as a college basketball guy, I was curious about that. So I used, the RPI to teach myself this new technology. And once I figured out how to calculate the RPI, I just started sharing it. But I was sharing it on like news groups, kind of like the primitive version of message boards.
Yeah.
And the caveman writing on the wall version. And then I got a page on my AOL account. So I put it there, and people just started paying attention to it. And the guy who covers Penn State found it. In the 1 year, this is the actual miracle of my story. This is the 1 year in a generation that Penn State's good at basketball. It was early on and when I was doing this stuff, and a guy who covered Penn State found my stuff and asked me questions, and we talked a lot, and he liked me, and he told two friends, they told two friends, and within about a year, everybody who covered college basketball knew who I was, and I don't think I could have stopped it.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it
It is
was
awesome.
Yeah.
It's
And
so
then,
fun. It's so
and then
fun for
football
some-
came along, and I started doing that. So,
Yeah,
There you go.
it's so
but it was
fun.
a hobby.
It's so fun to have
That
something
turned
that
into a
you just,
job.
something you did for fun be something that's
Yep.
so well liked and become such a big thing.
Last thing for me, Jerry, we're talking to Jerry Palm, CBS Sports bracketologist, and everybody does a bracket around the country. Everybody.
Pretty much.
Your profession is to pick these teams and games. What is the best score you have ever had in a bracket?
Oh, I've won bracket challenges
I
before.
would
don't know.
assume so.
Okay.
I
I
don't
would
remember
assume so.
I don't remember I've had a rough few years with it, actually, but we have, like, all of our experts do brackets, and it's probably been 5 years since I won it, but I won 2 or 3 in a row
Oh,
Wow,
good.
with-
Okay.
awesome.
among our experts. So, there's a fair amount of luck. And I mean, like last year, who could have predicted last year?
Nobody.
Everything went sideways last year. So, this year, gosh, the top 3 teams look so strong compared to everyone else that, if I were betting, I'd probably take them versus the field. But I'm not a bettor really, except for, the occasional $2 bracket. But but you never know. I mean, that's the thing about one and done tournaments is it only takes one bad day to end the season. So, and if you can string some good days together, like San Diego State did last year, then you can have a really, something that you'll remember.
Yeah, that's what makes March Madness what it is. Jerry Palm, thanks so much. You help make it what it is too.
Yeah.
I mean, what he does, Skraby, is he turns March Madness into November and December and January Madness.
Oh yeah, we're updating on your bracketology.
Yes, we start
all the
looking
time.
at that stuff, and we follow it all year. Jerry, thanks so much for squeezing us in. Know you're busy today. Hope we'll catch up with you again. Thanks.
All right, thanks.
You bet. There he goes, Jerry Palm from CBS Sports. That was nice for him to. I mean, he's a busy guy. I mean, they've got him on CBS Sports television throughout the day. He's doing stuff. He's updating his bracket. And with every result that comes in, it changes. Teams that are on the bubble, teams that were, automatic qualifiers that are no longer automatic qualifiers, and on it goes. But he does. One thing he said there that was interesting. He said a lot of things, but one thing that I caught at the very end of that, in his mind, and I think a lot of people's mind, the top 3 teams in the nation are Purdue, UConn, and Houston. And he said he would take them versus the field this year to win the national title. So, are those 3 that far heads and shoulders above the rest?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to seriously consider if he's telling me that.
Yeah, I'm going to seriously consider at least printing out one of his brackets before I turn my bracket in, because he's obviously pretty good at it.
Isn't that like kind of cheating in your bracket pool? If you're a professional bracketologist, this is your job.
Yeah, but even he said that he's been lousy
true.
the last 4
That's
or 5
true.
years.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Being a professional bracketologist does not guarantee success in picking these NCAA tournament games.
I guess it's like a fantasy football analyst not winning every year.
It's
or
like a
something
football, yeah, right. Or just, I mean, Adam Rank or somebody at
If they're
NFL Network
terrible.
has a bad year in fantasy sport. Just like the other way. Somebody as crazy, silly as you could
Yeah.
win.
Well, I mean, I'm the double champ over here. Okay.
Are you really?
Let me remind everyone.
I hadn't realized you were a double champ.
I was asked the other day, why do you say that you're a double champ? And I say, because I won the Odyssey Fantasy Football League and I won the Listener Fantasy Baseball League in the same year. Almost had a 49ers Super Bowl that would have completed the trifecta, but I didn't.
All right, please.
So I'll
that
be a
had
double
nothing
champ.
to do with you.
I'll be a double champ.
That had nothing to do with you. 2023 was a year to remember for one Matthew Skraby.
Yes.
All right. Speaking of basketball, college basketball, Jaden Ledee is just walking on the floor right now. So the Aztecs and UNLV will tip off here in about 2 minutes.
Black jerseys, I love it.
Yeah, well, look, white jerseys means you're a higher seed. So they're the lower seed in this game. They're
I
a
like
5
the
seed.
look, though, better.
You like the look better.
Yeah.
All right. UNLV will be in white. If you must know, you now know it's the 4-5 matchup. It's a coin flip of a game. We'll see if the Aztecs can get back on track, finally win a close game. The one thing that concerns me the most, there's two things. First of all, the Aztecs can't shoot at all. Their shooting has been awful all season long. They've got to start making some shots at some point. All right. And, hopefully it'll start today. Hopefully they'll get going during this tournament. But they have really struggled to shoot the ball. It has just, killed this team. 3-point percentage is the worst in the conference. Field goal percentage, nothing. Free throw percentage, nothing. Lamont Butler, worse than last year.
Can we talk about that real
Trammell,
quick?
worse than last year. Micah Parrish, worse than last year. They've got to find a way to start shooting better.
I don't understand how Lamont Butler can be so amazing from shooting from the floor, but he cannot make a free throw.
Well, he hasn't been great shooting from the floor this year.
But he can do it.
Well, he can make a free throw too. He's just not making them this year. He's like
50%.
Yeah, 54%. Yeah, that's bad.
That's worse than Shaq, I think.
It's Shaq-like. It's
It
certainly
is
Shaq-like. Yeah, and I mean, he's a guy that's handling the ball a lot, which means late in the game, guess who they're going to foul?
Him.
So
Lamont.
Lamont. Yeah. So the Aztecs have got to figure out a way to shoot. The other thing they have to do between now and like the next 5 minutes is figure out a way to win some close games. And the funny thing about that is in overtime or one possession games, they won 11 in a row from last year to the beginning of this year. But now they've lost their last 6 close games, including a couple of overtime games.
Yeah.
They can't all of a sudden win that really close, tight game in the end.
You know what I say? When a streak is going like that, it's got to turn around at some point.
Hopefully today will be the day.
That's what I say. Put it on a t-shirt, everybody. That's a really long
Let me run out
t-shirt,
and do that. Yeah. All right. Daily Gambit is next, and we'll keep you up to date on the Aztec game throughout the afternoon. Thanks to Jerry Palm for joining us. Thank you for joining us on 97.3 The Fan. All right, welcome back into Gwynn and Chris, hour number 2 of the program, getting started here from the Odyssey Palace Studios in San Diego. Aztecs have already missed their first 5 shots from the field.
This is the pattern, Chris.
Yes, it is. They've missed 2 layups. They've fallen behind early, as is often the case. It's only 4-0, but the fact remains they have not made a shot yet. They had 2 layups right at the rim. They somehow missed both of those. They've missed 2 threes already. The agony of trying to watch this team sometimes.
Yes.
I will tell you that.
Yeah.
We're going to get into the Daily Gambit here on Gwynn and Chris, some winners and losers from the world of sports. The Padres, latest with them. They are in Korea. They have arrived safely. And do you know when they're playing a game
Yes,
over there?
Sunday.
I know when the Dodger games are next
Sunday.
Wednesday, but Sunday
And we're
morning,
carrying that.
Sunday morning at 3 a.m.
3
You
a.m.
can tune in. Now,
Yeah.
one thing tomorrow, instead of our show getting underway on time, tomorrow, Sammy Levitt is going to be doing play-by-play for the Padre Mariners. What are they calling it? A futures game?
No, it's called
basically?
Spring Breakout.
Spring Breakout. Thank you.
Today they have Jackson Holiday and the Orioles against the Pirates and Paul Skeens.
Okay, so it'll be the young stars of the Padres.
Yeah.
Basically playing the young stars of the Mariners.
Ethan Salas is supposed to play in this
Ethan
game.
Salas will play. I would imagine Jacob Marcy will play. I would imagine a whole bunch of young guys will play.
They actually just updated the roster, so
All
I'll look
right.
for that.
Well, you can do a little research on that while we get going here. But, yeah, that game tomorrow we are going to carry for all of you Padre fans out there who want to check in on some of the young, up-and-coming stars of Padre baseball. You'll get a chance to listen in tomorrow. And, look, I'm looking forward to it because our guy, Sam Levitt, will be on the call.
Yes,
He's
he
doing
will.
play-by-play. You got to, you know what? Do me a favor because we're on after that tomorrow. Make sure you get some highlights.
Oh,
I want to hear
highlights.
Sam Levitt highlights tomorrow afternoon when we're on.
Let's really stop down and appreciate this opportunity for Sam because this is awesome for him.
Let's just appreciate Sam Levitt altogether.
Yes,
The
he was
guy-
on with me yesterday for 90 minutes helping me out.
If we need anything, Sammy Levitt will deliver.
He will.
Anything, he will deliver.
Who did you say was going to be on that roster? You think?
I don't
Jacob
know.
Marcy?
I thought Jacob Marcy would be. It would make sense for me, but I don't know everything. They don't ask me my
there he
opinion.
is. There he is. There he is.
Give me some of the other names. From the Padres.
Dylan Head, Homer Bush Jr., Jacob Marcy, as you said. Let's see, Ethan Salas, Robbie Snelling.
Robbie
I'm
Snelling.
just looking through some of the guys. Leah Dallas DeVry,
Okay.
and those are the bigger names.
All right. So, and then the Mariners
Oh,
will have
Dylan Lesko's also there.
Dylan Lesko's on that roster.
Adam Major, as I found out his name, I've been calling him Mazur.
Really?
Yes,
You've been calling him Missouri.
and it's Major.
My goodness.
I know.
My
that's
goodness. What am I going to do with you? Aztecs got the next 2 baskets, so it's 4-4 at the first media timeout. Real quick, before we get to the Daily Gambit, and now, one of these days, Skraby, you're going to be my age. You're going to have a thought pop into your head, and then you're going to go
Forget?
somewhere else. And then when you come back, the thought is not going to be there any longer.
Have you ever listened to the Skraby show?
Not enough, apparently.
The one
Does
thing-
that happen to you often?
The challenge that I have really not expected but found about the Skraby show is that when I'm in here by myself and I'm responsible for everything that comes out of those speakers,
Right. It's all your content.
often my ADD gets the best of me and I'll be going somewhere and then I completely forget what I'm talking about and
Oh,
then I
boy.
have to scramble and
That's
go in
not
another
good.
direction.
That's not good.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, because I totally forgot what the point I was going to make. It had something to do with the young Padre. Oh, I know what I was going to make. Drew Thorpe and Iriante and Zavala are not playing tomorrow.
You really had to, didn't you?
I did.
You
That was
really
me
had
sticking the
to.
fork in a little bit and twisting the knife or
I
whatever.
saw devil horns just grow out of your head as you said that.
Yeah, those guys obviously will not be playing in the what are they calling it?
Spring breakout.
Spring breakout.
Remember, I had a huge
Aren't
issue
they
with the
clever?
name.
Aren't they clever?
No.
Major League Baseball. They're so clever. Spring breakout. That's so cute.
I mean, they already have the name down. The Futures game.
Yeah. I mean, we knew what that was. Spring breakout sounds like they might be drinking out of a keg. I don't know. Are they really playing baseball?
Fernando and Manny are just doing cannonballs.
I don't know. Spring breakout sounds like a wild time to me.
By the way, did you
Yes.
see that they all wore similar outfits on the plane last night? I got a text from some friends saying that the Padres on the plane all wore similar outfits, and they were very pumped up about that. They were like Padres tracksuits.
Okay. I did see them get off the plane, I did notice that they seemed similar, but I didn't make the connection. Did not make the connection.
Yeah.
So
I'm not a fan of the matching stuff, but they made a good point when they were telling me about this. That kind of shows that this team is trying to build some camaraderie.
it also could mean that somebody sold a sponsorship for a
But I haven't seen
tracksuit
who made
and
it.
gave them all to the Padre players, and they wore them.
Yeah,
That is more likely what it means.
I have a little bit of information on what Steven Wilson went through yesterday, so maybe we talk about that next segment because it does sound very sad. I'm very sad for Steven Wilson.
That's the guy that I'm going to miss the most as we get into today's Daily Gambit.
Do you like money?
I think about money a lot.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is immortal luck.
Washington! Woohoo! If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in the Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
Daily Gambit is our daily sports betting segment here on Gwynn and Chris. And everybody, please gamble responsibly. I'm going to review some bets, and then I have the updated odds on the Padres World Series after Dylan Cease was acquired by the team. We also have a short message from Dylan Cease we're going to play. He tweeted something out, or the Padres tweeted something out. So stay tuned for that. But the bets that we made yesterday before everything went crazy, UNLV, they played the Aztecs, as we know, in the championship game last night. UNLV, 20.5-point favorites in the game. We both chose the Aztecs, and we were right to do so because the Aztecs lost. They lost the championship, but they only lost by 17. And UNLV seems like a very good team.
They are very good. And keep in mind that losing by 17 may not sound great, but it's not that bad when you consider the previous time they lost by 59. They played a whole lot better last night in the championship game. But the Aztec women and their great run came up a little short of the championship.
New Mexico, this was the men's game, right?
Yes.
New Mexico were 14.5-point favorites over Air Force. Both of us chose Air Force thinking they were going to keep it close, and we were not even close to being correct. It was an 82-56 win for New Mexico. I didn't even need to do the math. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, you knew we lost that one.
Nuggets were 3.5-point favorites at the Miami Heat last night. Chris chose Miami. I chose the Nuggies. Nuggies win 100-88.
And they sweep the series in the NBA Finals rematch.
Lakers were 3.5-point favorites over the Sacramento Kings in Sacramento. And I know that the Kings won, but I'm not sure.
They won by 17.
17, that's
they won big.
All right.
And they sweep the Lakers. All 4 games. I picked the Lakers here because I said they can't lose all 4 games to the Kings. Guess what? Yes, they can. Remember, they lost all 4 to the Kings this year.
Remember when I changed my bet just because Danny and Chula Vista told me to?
Hey, Danny and Chula Vista.
Good
that
stuff,
away,
man.
Danny.
Good stuff.
We might start listening to your tips more often.
Final bet we made yesterday, Stanford men's basketball in the Pac-12 tournament. They were 1.5-point favorites over Cal. Chris chose Cal. I chose Stanford. And the Stanford Cardinal won 87-76. So
in overtime.
In overtime?
Yeah.
I didn't even think that score was possible in overtime.
Yeah, I went to overtime. Cal led by 18 in the second half. I thought I had that locked up. Stanford came back. I was 1-4 yesterday. I believe you were 3-2 yesterday, or 4-1. I don't know. I don't
even remember. Yesterday was a whirlwind.
It was a bit of it was a whirlwind. So we come into today. You're 9-6. I'm 6-9.
Yes,
but let's also keep in mind that I won last week.
Okay. Yes, let's keep that in mind.
Let's make sure we're aware of that. Yes.
All right. So I'm going to give you the odds on the Padres to win the World Series after the acquirement. That's not a word, of Dylan Cease. But here is what
the
Padres-
acquirement.
Yes, it's not a word. I moved past it. Here's what Dylan Cease said to Padres fans just about 20 minutes ago.
What's up, Padres fans? Dylan Cease here. I'm getting ready to go fly to South Korea and meet up with the team, and I'm really excited to see you guys back in San Diego.
There you go. Very nice video from Dylan Cease. He's going all the way to Korea. I have a couple questions in the Big Five about that, so keep that in mind. But just a few days ago, apparently the Padres had odds of plus 6,000 to be the winners of the World Series. But
Right.
with them acquirement of Dylan Cease, the team's odds to win the World Series now have shortened to plus 4,800.
So he was by himself. He was able to knock 1,200 off the Aztecs or the Padres odds.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, that is
All
good.
right.
So
Well, for all of you again who said, what about this year? Why are we trading away all this talent? Now they get somebody for this year. So stop complaining, please. All right, let's get to the Daily Gambit picks for today. The game's just underway, so I'm going to do something you're not really allowed to do in Vegas.
okay.
But we'll pick on the Aztecs UNLV game. Aztecs are favored by a surprising 4.5 here, despite the fact that they just lost at UNLV a couple of weeks ago. Just so we both know, the Aztecs are now leading 8-5, and they're 8 minutes into the game. I'm going to take UNLV plus 4.5. I think this is going to be a close game. You know I want the Aztecs. You know I love the Aztecs.
I do.
They just have not played great lately, and I think this game's going to come down to the last possession or two. 4.5 is a lot if you're UNLV. So I'm going to take the points, even though, I'm an Aztec guy. What are you going to do here, Skrabe?
My before the game, I was gonna pick Aztecs.
Yeah,
and it has nothing to do with the score.
right.
The more I think about it, the more that's my heart betting and not my head. So I'm
Right.
gonna go with UNLV.
We have to gamble responsibly.
Yes, correct.
All right. The other two Mountain West Conference games later today. Boise State 1 point over New Mexico. That's a 3-6 matchup. New Mexico got to play yesterday and looked awesome.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, Boise State had a great season. Your pick.
I'm gonna go with the guy you don't like, Jalen House in New Mexico.
Going with Jalen House.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Jalen too.
Just him?
Not him, but New Mexico has to win. We just had Jerry Palm on. I always like to go with the team that really has to win to get into the tournament. New Mexico has to win to clinch their bid. Boise State does not have to win. That, to me, makes a big difference in a close game down the stretch. Which team's going to want it more? And I think it'll be New Mexico.
That's a good point.
Well, sometimes it's a good point. We'll see. The Aztecs are just throwing up brick after brick after brick.
It looks like that guy from Along
After
Came
brick.
Polly.
Unbelievable.
Philip Seymour Hoffman's character.
Their defense is insane, though, the Aztecs. So they're still ahead 8-7. All right. So we agree on the first two. Nevada -3 against Colorado State. That's
Nevada
the final game of
-3.
the evening. I'm going to go with Nevada here. I think they're better. They swept Colorado State during the season. Colorado State came in as the best team in the Mountain West, but they didn't show like the best team in the Mountain West. And the Nevada won their last 7 games. And I hate Alford, but they're playing great. So I'm going to go with the hot Nevada and give 3. What do you want to do?
My former school, Colorado State.
Oh, another former school. It doesn't
Yes.
take much to find a former school.
I
for you.
only went to 3 colleges, okay?
But whatever those 3 are, they sure come up a lot on this show.
Yeah, Colorado State, USF, and Palomar.
Yes, we talk a lot of Palomar on the program.
We actually don't. Out of all the schools, the one local one we don't.
I know.
All right, I'm going to go with Colorado State.
You're going to go with
I
your
feel like
old
the
guys.
streak is over for Nevada.
Colorado State. All right, very good. Into the NBA we go. Milwaukee at home -7 over the struggling 76ers.
Oh,
I know who you're going with.
I made
here.
a lot of fun of them yesterday, so I'm going to say Bucks.
Take the Bucks. I'm going to also take the Bucks. I thought the Bucks would be favored by a lot more than that against a very, very bad Philadelphia team.
Jacob says go Comets. I agree, Jacob.
Attaboy, Jacob. All right, one more. Clippers are in the Windy City tonight, taking on the Bulls. The teams just played last Saturday, and the Bulls were winning most of the game until the Clippers ran away at the end and beat them by 10. Tonight, the Clippers are favored by 5.5 in Chicago. Who do you like here?
Is Kawhi playing?
Yeah, I think everybody's playing.
So
I don't know. I mean
he left the stadium the other night because he was so injured.
All right. Then I take it back. I don't know whether or not he's playing for sure.
I just don't have any faith in the Bulls. I'm sorry. Going with Clippers.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of faith in the Bulls.
Are you going to go with them, though?
Well, the reason that I might go with them is that DeRozan had another unbelievable game last night.
Oh, I did hear about
Scored 46 points, hit the tying shot, sent it to overtime. The problem is that game was last night. So now they have to play again back-to-back nights, and they have to travel from Indiana to come home. I'm going to go with the Clippers as well. All right, so we were pretty much – I'm going to use another word that doesn't exist.
Okay.
We're pretty much in agreeance with all of our picks today.
That's not a word?
Agreeance?
It's got to be a word.
I don't think so.
I've heard that word.
Agreeance?
Let me see.
Look that one up. I don't think so. Our 5 picks today, I think the only one we differed on was the Colorado State-Nevada game. So we'll see how the picks turn out.
Oh.
We'll take a break. Did
Hold
you find
on.
the word
Yeah.
agreeance?
According to dictionary.com, it's a rare and outdated word for agreement, but it is still
It's
a
a
word.
rare and outdated word. All right. Well, I'll take credit for it then.
Yeah.
They're in a timeout in Vegas. It's UNLV 11, the Aztecs 10. The Aztecs are shooting 29%. They are 0 for 4.
My goodness.
They're 0 for 4 from the arc. The misfiring continues for San Diego State, but they're only down 1. We'll keep our eye on that. Come back with more Gwynn and Chris after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From
conference quarterfinals. The Aztecs took 4 field goal shots, missed them all. I mean, it's unbelievable, Skrabe. They cannot make anything.
Should we turn off the game? Is it us?
No, it's not us. They just missed
They
two
just
more
missed
layups
two
on
more.
that. Jaladi is right under the basket. Rejected. Jump ball. I mean, they can't score. They
This is
cannot
pretty
score.
incredible, I gotta say.
Their defense is as great as ever. UNLV isn't doing a whole lot. They lead 14-10. The Aztecs are now 5 of 22. That's 22% for those keeping track. They're 0 for 5 from the arc. I don't know how the Aztecs can win a game in the mountain. And I love this team. And I said all along that even if they stunk this year, it wouldn't matter based on what they did last year. Well, guess what? They didn't stink this year. They were pretty darn good. But they look pretty bad right now. I hate to say it, Skrabe. They can't make a shot.
There was a layup during the break, and it was a difficult layup, but they didn't even get the ball above the rim. They hit like the back corner of the rim.
They are struggling so bad right now. Confidence is a big deal in sports. And they are not playing with any of it right now.
George says on YouTube, Aztecs need to keep attacking the hoops since they can't hit the side of a barn from the field right now. Woof.
They're
true. 5 for 24.
They just went up a lot because Ladie dunked one.
So they're 6 for 25.
That's right. UNLV 14, Aztecs 12. We'll keep our eye on it. All right, you had a story about Steven Wilson, right?
I did.
Guy's ready to go to Korea with the Padres. He's ready to start this season. Big deal, big part of this team. And I guess before he got on the bus, he found out that he was not going to Korea, but instead was going to wherever the Chicago White Sox have their
That sounds like a
spring
great
training.
consolation. Camelback Ranch.
Well, if nothing else, it's much closer.
It's a lot closer. Well, this came from the Union Tribune, but here is what kind of happened. And Sam joined us yesterday kind of saying the same thing, but apparently, I'm just going to be reading from this article. Wilson was with his girlfriend at a picnic table with Michael King, Joe Musgrove, and others when he got a phone call. After taking the call, he got his car and started packing up his things. He went from the excitement of a trip to Korea to going to Camelback Ranch and an American League team entering a rebuild as the only major leaguer in the trade. But here's another quote. Jackson Merrill stood up, hugged Wilson on one trip. Trevor Hoffman in jeans and flip-flops for the coming flight bear hugged him on another. Michael King and catcher Kyle Higashioka got in their goodbyes. Wilson was red-eyed by the time he extended a handshake to a reporter still on site. I can't imagine the worst timing for this.
Well, there's never good timing.
Never.
And the funny thing is us as fans and people who play fantasy baseball, right? To us, you're just a name that's included in a trade.
Yeah.
But the real fact of the matter is you're a person that just had your life changed dramatically. Right? You just went from living in San Diego where you're comfortable, you're set, you've been for a couple of years.
Fans love you.
You've got your girlfriend there or whatever, your wife, your family in some people's case. Now you are moving to a cold weather city in Chicago.
Hot summers,
sticky.
Gross.
Are you going to move? Is your girlfriend going to be able to quit her job if she has one and move with, your whole life goes into major upheaval. And, we never think of that as people who follow the sport.
Yeah.
We just, hey, Steven Wilson, see you later. Have fun in Chicago.
Nice knowing you.
Yeah, it's I think it's too bad. It's part of the business, though.
It is.
The one thing I will say, remember, these guys make millions and millions of dollars. So, that's one of the trade outs. And I think most of us would take it. But keep in mind, if tomorrow, whatever you're doing, wherever you work here in town, whether it's Temecula, whether you're in Escondido or El Cajon.
Encinitas.
Okay, Encinitas. If you were told tomorrow that you're by your boss that you have just been traded to the Boise division of your company and you really don't have any choice but to go.
Sorry, Boise.
I'm not picking on
I know.
them.
You're just saying a city.
I'm just saying any other city. But you have no choice whether or not to go. It's not like your boss is coming up to you and saying, hey, we got another position similar to yours in Boise. Would you consider it? No, they're not telling you that. They're telling you you are going to Boise.
If you want to keep your job.
If you want to continue, earning this salary and stay in this job. and you got to come home and tell your wife and your kids that that's what's going on, that could be tough.
It can be.
It would be really tough.
Holly on the chat is upset about this, which I understand. Holly said that this is messed up and the team shouldn't do it, but I don't know what they could have done to make this better.
What do you mean messed up?
Like doing it right before Korea, right before the season.
No.
Because honestly, him and his girlfriend were probably looking forward to going on a little bit of a vacation, a business trip vacation, and that's a terrible part of it too. But it is a business, as you said.
All right, 16-12 UNLV leads the Aztecs in the first half, about 7 minutes to go. Do I have to repeat the Aztec shooting percentage?
Yes.
24%, Skrabe. That's what they got.
24%.
They've tried 6 3-pointers. They've made none. They've tried no free throws. You're going to tell me how a team with Jaden Ledee on it can't attempt one free throw in the whole first half? That is almost impossible to believe.
I've seen him been knocked to the ground 3 times.
I just saw him got dragged to the ground and held around the neck.
Is Vinovich roughing these games? The Super Bowl referee? He did one at Viejas right after the Super Bowl.
He's
the
not
day
doing
after.
this game. He's not doing this game. All right. We'll take a break. When we come back, what do we got? A little 30-mile zone?
We do.
To keep us entertained?
Yes, we do.
All right. That, Chris versus the Fan still ahead. Big Five still ahead. And from 5 to 6 o'clock tonight, you'll hear nothing but Padre baseball talk with all of our hosts. The Padres Roundtable coming up at 5 o'clock. So stick around. It's all coming up on Gwynn and Chris.
Hold for bumper.
UNLV has a guy that is 3 for 3 from the arc in the game. 3 for 3, one guy. The Aztecs from the arc, 0 for 7. It's really remarkable they're still in this game, Skrabe. Coming up on halftime, UNLV leads 19-16.
I mean, UNLV is not playing great either. They're shooting 3 for 9 from 3.
Yeah, but they're getting to the free throw line. They're
That
about
is
to
true.
attempt their 9th and 10th free throws of the half. The Aztecs, 0. Do you remember when I came out with my statistic a few weeks ago that when the Aztecs are at home, they shoot 81 more free throws than their opponents?
Yes.
When they're on the road, they shoot 35 fewer. Well, guess where they are today?
But no, this is a neutral floor game, Chris.
Yes, it's called a neutral floor game, but this is on UNLV's actual home floor. And these officials in the Mountain West Conference just get intimidated. They can't. I mean, there's no way a team with Jaden LeDee on it should not be able to get one free throw attempt in an entire half. But that's what's happened. And UNLV is going to get at least 10 because they're going to the line after a commercial break. 19-16 UNLV on top. I can't complain about the officiating when the Aztecs can't make a shot.
Yeah, you can't.
You know, it's not the officials' fault.
No, they have to make some shots.
They're 27%. They're 0 for 7 from the arc.
It's usually how you win games.
That is how you lose games.
Well, yes, but
Stats
making
like
shots.
That. Right. All right. Gwynn
That's the
Chris,
hard-hitting analysis you get from our show, by the way.
Pretty
making
intense.
baskets
Yes, we don't know.
winning
Hey,
games.
we may not understand analytics. Duh, we're just dummies. We don't understand analytics.
But I know that if you score more points than the other team, then you win.
Yeah. I get tired of people who, take the time to chat that comment in.
I know, because it gives us something to talk about.
I really get tired of these people, honestly.
You don't have to look at it. I do not claim in any way, shape, or form to know everything, nor do you. Yeah, of course.
So the fact that we don't know everything should not be newsworthy at all. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know everything, nor do I say that I know everything. I know some of you out there feel like you know everything.
Yes.
You're the ones that write in, "Oh, Chris and Skraby don't understand analytics."
I did not know we were going down this road.
Well, I'm ticked off right now. Watching the Aztecs not make a shot. Not in the mood.
Yeah, his mood has gone from celebratory to
I'm a little sour right now.
Very
definitely
sour.
a little sour
Very
right
sour.
now. All right, let's get to let's have some fun.
Yeah.
We'll check traffic and then we'll see what's going on in the 30-mile zone here.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's
All right, before we get started with this, I got to remind you that if you love Mediterranean food, like I love Mediterranean food, try Spiro's. They got the authentic Mediterranean cuisine. It's in Coronado and La Jolla. For dining or takeout options, visit spiroscuisine.com.
I'm actually very hungry right now. So can you get that up here? I need the hummus. You keep talking about the hummus.
I know.
I need the hummus.
I'll run over and pick some up.
All right. So this is our sports gossip segment, as we said. And we're going to start with a feel-good story. And it's involving the Dodgers. And I will say, in this particular instance, I am a fan of the Dodgers for doing this.
Oh.
Have you ever heard of Andrew Tolles?
Oh, yes. They're
Okay.
a former outfielder.
Yes, he has not played in the major league since 2018. He's been on the restricted list since March 2019. because of mental health issues. He was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. And the Dodgers, every single year, each spring, they renew his contract so that he maintains his health insurance from Major League Baseball.
Cool thing to do.
It is a really cool thing to do because so many of these guys are just thrown to the wolves after they're done with their career. And so Tolles he only appeared in 96 games for the Dodgers, but each year they do this so that he can keep his health insurance to get the help that he needs. Here's what his father, Alvin, told USA Today. It's a very sad story, but he said, "We're having challenges. Nothing that God and I can't handle. Schizophrenia is just so tough. I mean, he can't even watch TV. He hears voices in the TV at the same time. So it's kind of confusing. I've seen him looking at some baseball games on his laptop, but I don't think he really understands what's going on. I just want him to have a chance in life. That's all. Just to be healthy and live a normal life."
Now, you really hope that he can find the right doctors, because in a situation like that, I don't know how. He obviously has an awful case of schizophrenia, but you would love to believe that there'd be some way of finding, a medicine concoction that can help him. And I'm sure that that's what they're going to do. They're just going to keep trying different things until they can find a way to help him. But
in my travels
really a shame
of recovery and meeting people with mental health issues, schizophrenia is a horrible disease, and it's a horrible thing that people have to deal with. And it's not his fault. He was born with it, and I feel for him. But again, the Dodgers.
How about the fact that he made it to the major leagues in the first place?
Yeah, and then it started manifesting itself. I've also heard that schizophrenia manifests itself, later on in your teen years, early 20s. And yeah, it's just very sad. But again, the Dodgers have done some good things for him by keeping him within their organization so he keeps his health insurance.
All right, so the Dodgers, we can't totally hate them in every way, shape, or form.
Now I can go back to hating them because
you got that out of the way.
Shohei Ohtani, he said that his wife, no one really knew who his wife was, and we got the whole MLB.com push notification that he got married, and that bothered me. But his wife was revealed as a professional basketball player from Japan.
Oh,
she is Momiko Tanaka.
Okay.
And so they were pictured before, or they took a picture before they got in the flight to Korea, but he did not disclose her identity, saying she was a very normal Japanese woman. But I don't call a professional basketball player a very normal Japanese woman. She is 5'11". She averaged 7.8 points and 6 rebounds per game. They've known each other for 3 or 4 years, and he said that she had no impact on his decision because obviously she's playing pro basketball in Japan, so they might not be able to see each other as much. But there you go.
She had no impact on what decision? His decision to go to L.A.?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. His decision to go to L.A. So there you go. He is married.
All right.
Kind of a strange story out of Pittsburgh. Yarmir. I practice this name. Yarmir. I can't say it. Yarmir.
I know it, but I'm not going to help you.
Yarmir. Say it. I can't say it.
Yarmir Yager.
See, it's a tough one. Yarmir. Yarmir Yager, he had a bobblehead night tonight that was supposed to happen, and there were going to be a lot of people there. But a cargo shipment carrying thousands of collectible bobbleheads of Yarmir Yager, I hate that name.
Yeah, you did it better that time.
Was stolen. The Penguins made the announcement this morning saying the shipment carrying the bobbleheads for tonight's game has been stolen en route to Pittsburgh. And they're still trying to get those things back, but they may be gone forever. Who wants to steal 1,000 bobbleheads? What are they going to do with these 1,000 bobbleheads?
Probably sell them on the black market somewhere. You want a Yarmir Yager bobblehead? This is the only place you can get one. And maybe that'll be the way they can track down the people who stole these things.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because otherwise, what are you going to do with them, really?
Yeah, you have to try to sell them. The organization plans to provide vouchers who can trade them in for a bobblehead in the future. However, there's no timetable for that.
There's also no guarantee that those bobbleheads won't be stolen too.
The Penguins are currently working with local and federal law enforcement.
Yeah.
I'm really happy the FBI is on this bobblehead theft case.
It's pretty important.
It's very important. So there you go. No Pittsburgh Penguins fans are going to get the thousands. It wasn't 1,000 bobbleheads, by the way. Thousands of bobbleheads.
Just endless bobbleheads.
Yes. All right. We talked about Aaron Rodgers and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. saying that he may have him as his running mate in this upcoming presidential election.
Yeah.
But here's what we also talked about, that this is a major distraction for the Jets, and the Jets took this on when they brought Aaron Rodgers in. But Aaron Rodgers today, this is another example of a distraction. He had to come out and say, apparently there were rumors that he said the Sandy Hook shooting massacre in Connecticut, I believe it was. He, in the past, has been credited as saying that it didn't happen. It was fake. Those kids are actors.
Yeah, CNN reported that he was of the belief
Yes.
that this whole Sandy Hook thing never happened.
Well, he tweeted out.
And he came out to defend that today.
Yeah, he said, as I am on the record saying in the past, what happened in Sandy Hook was an absolute tragedy. I am not and have never been of the opinion that the events did not take place. And then he goes on to say he hopes that the families are doing well and all that. But
Okay.
why would CNN report this? And I've looked to see if he's actually said that. And I know that many other people have done that too. And I haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers has some weird ideas.
He
and
does.
some weird thoughts. But I think even believing that the Sandy Hook elementary thing was completely staged is a thought that a place that even he's not willing to go.
Yeah,
So-
and you shouldn't go there.
I wouldn't think so.
We had when the Kansas City parade happened a couple weeks, not a couple weeks ago.
There were people that said
In
that
our
was all
chat,
staged.
but in our chat, someone said, "I don't believe it until I see pictures." And I was like, "What? Like, what kind of world is that to live in?"
Why do you need pictures? I mean, if you don't believe it on its face, right? When you're basically looking at footage and it's being reported, if you don't believe that, why would you believe any pictures? We all know the pictures can be easily doctored nowadays.
Totally. They can,
So,
yeah, you're right.
If you're of the belief that you're not going to believe anything, then I don't know what we can do for you.
Yeah,
There's not much we got for you.
Yeah, I'm with
So,
you. I'm with
that's kind of there's some people that you can tell them the sky is blue, and they're going to say no, it's not, or they're going to say
Yeah.
prove it to me,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
they're going to say that picture isn't accurate. So I don't really have time for these people.
I don't either.
Like, it's hard enough to convince my wife that I actually do my chores. So I don't have time to try to convince some idiot out there that the Sandy Hook elementary tragedy actually happened.
Wow, that was a bad shot by who's number 3?
Micah Parrish just missed everything on a
Missed
3.
everything. They're down 27-19 going into halftime.
Yeah.
Basically.
It's amazing they're this close. 0 for 8 on threes, 25% shooting overall. Jaden LeDee, 2 fouls. He's been fouled about 35 times. They've called it maybe once. I'm in
disbelief.
Yeah, I'm not in disbelief. This is how the Aztecs have been playing lately.
Okay, good point.
unfortunately, but I'm not pleased.
Yeah.
Not pleased.
Back to the government thing real quick, making it fake and all these things are fake. I heard someone, I can't remember who said it, but they said something really funny. The government can't even prevent a shutdown every other week. So how are they going to put together one of the craziest conspiracies of all time?
That is a point that I would find difficult to argue with.
Yeah.
You're actually saying that people who are clueless can barely get out of their own way
Are keeping some of the biggest secrets in world's history.
secrets in the world's history. That is a really good point by whoever made that.
Yeah,
one.
I'm going to try to find
I
that.
like that.
All right, next one.
Okay.
And it's going to be a former or a UFC legend, Mark Coleman. He is actually breathing on his own and talking to his family, but he was airlifted to a hospital with life-threatening injuries sustained while rescuing his parents from a house fire. Now, there's pictures of this, and it is pretty incredible that he lived, his parents lived. He said he suffered smoke inhalation while trying to save his mom and dad from a giant blaze. He said, I had to make a decision. It was already horrible. I couldn't breathe. I'm the happiest man in the world. I swear to God, I'm so lucky. I can't believe my parents are alive. Bad part, unfortunately, his dog Hammer passed away in the fire.
You didn't need to tell me that.
You
could have left that out.
He was looking for him.
You could have left that out.
And he couldn't find him.
Could have left it out.
Honestly, when I heard that earlier,
Why do you have to stay with it?
Because that is the news story.
No,
But that's what when I heard that
did
earlier.
not need to know that.
Look at how cute his dog is, Chris.
I'm not going to look. Not going to look. We already know in this country, and maybe every other country, that if you see a human being gunned down in a movie, you hardly flinch. But if you see a dog run over by a car in a movie,
Yep.
it's
Waterworks
and awful.
and I will cry
Yeah.
very hard.
There's something wrong with that, but it's the way that is.
I mean, it's because animals are helpless. They can't really help themselves. I mean, they don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
All right.
let's move on.
Yeah, you're the one that had to throw it in and get my nasty mood into a sad mood.
Okay.
Thanks.
Here's one that is interesting. Dak Prescott is the police in Dallas have launched a probe into a sexual assault claim.
Oh boy.
Now he claims it's extortion.
Yeah.
And so this woman's name is Victoria Shores, and she tried to get $100 million out of him to not go to the police over an alleged encounter that happened in February of 2017, so 7 years ago.
Yeah.
He has maintained, Dak Prescott, that is never engaged in any non-consensual acts with anyone in his life. TMZ Sports has confirmed that they received a report of this, and so they're looking into it. Meanwhile, everybody else is kind of just saying we're going to wait for this, but Dak Prescott is really denying this, and I kind of feel like $100 million tells me that this person was looking for a money grab.
Here's the thing, and this isn't the law, but it ought to be. All right, I get it that if you were sexually assaulted, out there in any way, shape, or form, it is not only the physical act.
Yes.
It is the
emotional act.
The emotional destruction of your entire being that takes place here.
Yeah.
Okay? So it is very understandable that it would take you some time to come to grips with that.
Yeah.
All right? So I'm going to give you 5 years.
Not
5
7.
years. I'm giving you 5 to come to grips to it and file a case against the person who sexually assaulted you. But if you can't get over it in 5 and you need 7, then I'm sorry. I mean, 7 years ago tells me that what all of a sudden has changed to where you are now filing this case for $100 million.
I will take the other side of this. And
you can.
Sexual assault it does not have statute of limitations on it, so you can.
That's right.
It doesn't expire.
That's what I just said. It doesn't.
But I don't know that you could blame someone 7 years after the fact, because it might have taken them 7 years to get over this.
Yeah.
They may have been working on it but $100 million is a lot of money. Hey, you give me $100 million and I won't go to the police. That's not the way this works, lady.
No.
If anybody can't see me, I'm putting my
You're
finger.
pointing at me.
Yeah, like no.
Okay.
Dikembe Mutombo. That's all I got, Chris.
Good stuff.
Thanks.
Good 30-mile zone today.
Thank you.
All right. They are indeed at halftime of the Mountain West Conference quarterfinal game. The Aztecs are playing, in a word, awful.
Yeah.
They're lucky to be even this close. They trail UNLV 27. It says 27-22. Did I miss something
Did
right
they make
before
a last
halftime?
second three? Because there was 1.6 seconds on the clock.
Darian Trammell steal the inbound pass and make a 3?
How did we miss that? We were watching the TV.
We were. There was 1.6 seconds left.
Is that enough for a steal and a 3? I
He
guess
must have
so.
stolen that inbounds pass and made a 3-pointer right. He did right at the buzzer. So that makes everybody feel a little bit better. It is at halftime, UNLV 27, San Diego State 22. The Trammell 3 was the only one the Aztecs made in 9 attempts. The Aztecs shot 27% overall. They missed layups. They missed jumpers. They hit air balls. It was one ugly mess after another.
I turned away from the screen after I saw a 3 go up, and it didn't even hit the rim.
It barely hit the floor. The Aztecs don't look very good, but the Trammell steal and 3 at the buzzer maybe gives them a little momentum going forward. They're down 27-22 to UNLV at halftime. Earlier, Utah State needed overtime to beat Fresno State. So the Aztecs or UNLV will play Utah State next. What we'll do next is play some Chris versus the Fans. Call in 833-288-0973 if you want to play trivia. Go to Vegas, baby.
Baby!
Fan.
Here we go into the 4 o'clock hour. Gwynn and Chris on 97.3 The Fan. Chris, hello, Matt Skraby, together today in the Odyssey Palace studios. Tony Gwynn Jr., he has left us. He is halfway around the world with the San Diego Padres. He is in Korea. Padres landed safely there about mid-morning, our time.
Yeah.
And after the 13-and-a-half, 14-hour flight, Dylan Cease will be joining the Padres in Korea, making his own way over there, following the trade yesterday from the White Sox. Steven Wilson, Drew Thorpe, Iriarte, Zavala, welcome to Camelback Ranch, Arizona.
Sounds like a terrible place.
Yeah, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, but it's not quite as fantastic as going halfway around
Seoul,
the world.
South Korea, where you're
Yeah.
going to be a superstar the entire time you're there. People were lined up. Did you see the video of them getting off
Sure.
the plane?
Yeah, it's a
People were
big
lined
deal
up
there.
at 1:30 in the morning.
I get that it's a big deal there. I still think it's beyond I don't want to say it's beyond a waste of our time, but I just think baseball's already global enough. I'm wrong. I'm not a good marketing guy. I get that, but why do the Padres and the Dodgers have to fly halfway around the world to play 2 baseball games?
Because they want that market. The
What do
Asian
you
market.
mean they want that market?
They basically
So when the Korean sports fans go to the Korean version of whatever online sports sales gear store
okay.
they have,
Yeah, Fanatics Korea.
Fanatics Korea, when they go there, the fact that the Dodgers and Padres played a game in the country will lead people to buy baseball gear as opposed to football gear.
Yes, because you know what? There's going to be a kid or two or hundreds that are going to see some of these guys play, and
Okay.
that is what's going to spark
That's
them
it.
into wanting to play
That's
baseball.
all.
And Korea and Japan have massive baseball programs already.
That's what I mean. Baseball's already huge. So why do we need the Dodgers and the Padres to, fly that far to play 2 games?
I'm not necessarily totally against you. I think it's weird to have it at 3 a.m. for the people that are actually going to be watching the games. I think they should have done a little bit better on the game time so that maybe it was, but maybe they couldn't. I don't really know the full breakdown.
Right.
So,
Well, you want to play at prime time in Korea. You don't want the fans that are going to come to the game to have to get there at 4 a.m.
like if they did it at 6 p.m. or if they did it at 8 p.m. here, I guess that would be 11 p.m. on the East Coast. No one wants, but if you did it at 8 p.m. here, because Tony, our talk is that at 2 p.m. our time, it's 7 a.m. his time. So if they did it at 8 p.m. our time, it would be what's 1 p.m. our no.
That's too
1
difficult
p.m.
for me.
1 p.m.
Too difficult.
It would be 1 p.m. their time. There you
Too
go.
confusing.
Boom. Boom.
Sorry,
Boom.
too confusing for me.
All right.
Don't make that a trivia question today on Chris versus the fans. I won't be able to get it right.
Okay.
As he makes a note to himself, make sure I ask this
Yes.
later on in the week.
Aha.
All right. We got an opportunity for you to get into Las Vegas. Skraby, I'm so far away from having the sheet. I hope you have it.
I got it.
Good.
We are yesterday, in about 10 minutes, everything, all hell broke loose on the show yesterday.
That's right. We got to Chris versus the fans, and halfway through the game show, that's when Dylan Cease was traded.
So we are still playing for a pair of tickets to the SD Legion home opener rugby match against FC Los Angeles on Saturday, March 16th. So keep that in mind. If you win, you can grab, or if you win, you'll get those tickets, but you can also grab tickets now at sdlegion.com. But the grand prize, you're going to be qualified for a 2-night stay at Fontainebleau, Las Vegas, and dinner for 2. Immerse yourself in timeless elegance at Fontainebleau, Las Vegas, a luxury resort, gaming, and meeting destination. The legacy of Fontainebleau, Las Vegas is built upon more than 70 years of sublime beauty, unparalleled service, and timeless design. Book now at FontainebleauLasVegas.com. 833-288-0973. Here we go.
If you had one shot, one opportunity to take down the human almanac himself,
howdy do.
Now is your time.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
Now is your opportunity to win a prize.
Well, I hope you know what you're in for.
Chris versus the fans starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Now, on our chat, someone asked, are the fountains blue? And it's It's blue like blue cheese.
And it's also not fountain.
It's Fontaine.
It's Fontaine.
Fontaine blue.
Yeah. So
good try.
Nice try. I don't believe the fountains are blue. You know why? There's no reason for them to be. That's not the name of the place.
Is there blue cheese in there? Is blue cheese blue? I can't remember. Is it blue?
Blue cheese?
Is it
Not
kinda
really.
blue?
It's mostly white
Yeah.
with some blue little specks in it sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not
So,
a fan of blue cheese.
it's misleading.
At times. All right,
Misleading.
here we go. Here are the rules. You have to make it through 3 questions. Each question will get more difficult. If you get the question right, you move on. If you get it wrong and Chris gets it right, you're eliminated. But if Chris gets it wrong, then you move on to the next question or you win. If you're a first-time player, let us know before the first question. You'll get that for free.
All right, good.
Here we go. Let's go to our first contestant today, Jim. Jim, you are on. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Pretty
Oh,
good,
fantastic.
Jim. Pretty good. It'd be better if the Aztecs could make a shot, but I'm surviving.
Are you ready to go, Jim?
Gales are in. That's all I care about.
Say that one more time.
My St. Mary's Gales are in. That's all I care about.
You're a St. Mary's Gale. Now, I was having this discussion with somebody else the other day. Did you go to St. Mary's, or did somebody you know go to St. Mary's or work there?
I am a very proud St. Mary's Gales grad, class of 2002, and I cannot wait for Sunday.
All right, fair enough then. Fair enough, because what I was saying, because I ran into a St. Mary's fan in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And I said, who's a St. Mary's fan? And if you went there, I get it totally. Believe me.
Is it in Moraga?
It's in Moraga.
Yeah.
So it's in the East Bay. It's a tiny little town.
Really tiny.
Yeah. And they got a tiny little campus there and a nice little gym, but they got a great basketball team. So, all right, good for you, Jim.
Keep
Your
that
turn.
in mind.
Here we
Jim.
go.
Here we go. Question number 1. Okay. What men's college basketball team is #1 in the country right now?
That'd be Purdue Boilermakers.
The Purdue Boilermakers. Stay there.
Sorry about that, Jim. I think this week it's Houston.
Houston is correct.
Sorry, Jim. Good luck to the Gales, though.
Yes,
good luck to the Gales.
All right, let's go to our next contestant. We're going to go to Tracy and Marietta. Hello, Tracy.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good. Are you ready to play?
Yeah, first-time player.
First-time player! Here we go.
Cause for
Question
celebration around these parts.
number 2. All right, let's ask this one. What former Giants slugger started in left field 19 times on opening day? And it's not just for one team. In his career, left field 19 times on opening day, former Giant.
Giants, 19 times. Left field?
Yes,
Left
left
field.
field.
Yeah.
Gonna have to.
Oh, my God.
Oh, no.
Sorry, we do have a time limit.
Tracy's first try.
Yeah. Yes,
Barry Bonds?
I think you know.
Got to
Sorry,
go Barry
Tracy.
Bonds. Sorry about that, Tracy. I don't
Call
think
again
he
next
got the
week.
question fully, but that's part of the game. You have to be able to figure out Skraby's question.
Was that a tough?
It wasn't, but I don't think he got the. I don't think he felt that Barry Bonds was with the Giants for 19 years.
Well,
so
that's why I explained.
I know you did, but I don't know that he heard. Anyway,
All right.
I think that threw him.
I'm sorry, Tracy.
Tracy, play again.
Yes, we'll give you your
and
first question.
you'll get another
free.
shot.
Yeah. Or I just gave you a first question for free again. I shouldn't have done that. Let's go to Tommy.
Hi, Tommy.
Tommy.
Yes.
Hello.
Welcome
Yes,
in.
I'm here.
Good.
All right. You ready to play?
Yes, I'm first-time player. As well.
First
Another
time
one.
player. That was a good one. I felt that
That
one.
would ought to be recorded.
I got my brother here to help me out as well.
Good.
Okay, good. What's
All
your
right,
brother's name?
Brother, who is that?
Tyler.
Tyler.
All right, Tyler.
All right. Here we go. Question
We got Tommy and Tyler.
number 2.
It's gonna be tough. Tough to beat two people at once here, Scrap.
Since 2018, what Padres pitcher has the most wins?
Musgrove.
Musgrove. Stay there.
I'm gonna try Darvish. I don't know. Sorry, guys.
Sorry,
but
Tommy
thanks
and
for
Tyler.
playing.
Yes.
Please play again.
Yes, please play again.
As we've come to know, there are days when I will get all of the questions wrong. Right?
Not
lately,
recently.
but last week it happened quite a few times, if I recall.
It sure did. Last week was a good week for the questions. All right, let's go to our next contestant and longest holder, Ken. Ken, you are on. How are you, Ken?
What's going on, boys?
Good to
Not
talk
too
to you,
much.
Ken.
You ready to play?
I'm ready.
All right.
All
here
right,
we
good.
go.
Let's go. Let's go.
How many teams are allowed in the March Madness tournament?
64.
Oh, no.
It's the field of 68.
It is, unfortunately. It's the
Yes.
stupidest thing ever.
It is kind of stupid,
The first four.
They can play those first 4 games.
I'm
Field of
sorry,
68.
Ken.
Boy, we're getting tripped up on question number 1 today.
Yeah, I
You
knew
know?
that when I wrote that one. I thought
No, that was a good number.
I
1.
thought
That's a fair
it's
number
kind of a
1.
tricky one, but anyway.
Well, it's tricky, but it's fair.
All right, next longest holding caller is Lance. Lance, you there?
I am here. How are
Let's
you?
go, Lance.
Good, Lance.
Break the
You ready?
drought here.
Yeah, break the drought.
I'll try.
All right, here we go. Question number 1. What is the day called when college basketball teams are selected for the NCAA tournament?
That is Selection Sunday.
Selection Sunday is correct.
Some would argue that is even better than Super Bowl Sunday.
That's crazy, but okay.
You don't think you'd make that argument?
I would not make that
I
argument.
love Selection Sunday.
I
man.
mean, I love Selection Sunday until once they get the team that I'm looking for out of the way, I turn it right off.
You do?
Yes.
You don't watch the whole thing?
No, I don't really care.
Yeah.
You watch the whole thing, huh?
No, I don't.
Okay, there
But
you go.
but that's not my Selection Sunday. My Selection Sunday is getting the actual bracket and printing it out and getting it into my hands and getting my first look at it.
All right, that's different.
All right. That's Selection Sunday is the way I look at it.
Brandon has a question on the chat. Hold on real quick, Lance. Question regarding Selection Sunday. Are you all doing a bracket on Yahoo again this year? Stay tuned. The station is going to do something cool, I believe. So
Okay.
stay tuned for that.
All right.
All right, back
Good.
to Lance and question number 2. Since 2018, which Padres pitcher has had the most saves?
Most saves.
Most saves.
Tried most wins. Now we're trying most saves.
Most saves. I can't think of his name. I'm brain farting.
Oh, no. That can happen.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, Lance. Stay there. Chris, you
Oh,
still
Josh
get it.
Hader?
You're going to, excuse me, I just swallowed my tongue. You're going to say Josh Hader.
I am.
Wow.
Oh, good for you, Lance. You're
You're
still
still
alive
alive.
despite your brain cramp. Let's just say brain cramp. Who had more saves than him?
Kirby Yates.
Kirby Yates did.
Yeah.
All right.
Remember Fireman of the Year?
Oh, sure. I do. But
We
I
would've
interviewed
interviewed him with his cool trophy that was still in plastic. As he came over.
I like Kirby Yates a lot. I didn't realize he had more. I know he had the one big year.
Yeah.
I didn't know that he had enough beyond that.
Is he still? He's still with the Braves, right?
I don't think so. And I don't know where he is. I can look it up
I'm
while
gonna
you
look
go
it
to the
up.
next
Okay.
question.
All right, let's go to the next question.
Go to question
Here we go,
number 2.
Lance. Question number 3, Chris.
Oh, was he a
Question
first-time player?
No, but he got question number 1 right.
Oh,
Selection
so
Sunday.
he's on the way to the. Oh, right. Okay, Lance, you're on your way to the championship here.
Here we go.
Kirby Yates is a Ranger now.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
Man, Bruce Bochy just loves those former Padres.
I love it.
All right, Lance. Let me start this over. There is only one active Major League Baseball player to be the last MVP for 2 different teams. Name that player. So they won MVP for 2 separate teams, and they're still active right now.
Oh.
Boy, good luck sorting that question out.
I also do not have an answer.
All right, that's fine. You can back your way in all
Back
you want.
door in it.
In
All
my
right.
work. Very well,
Stay
my
there.
work. You don't start my clock. I need to understand the question.
Okay, all right.
I need to understand
All
the
right,
question
all right,
before
all
I can
right.
answer it.
Okay.
All right, answer it again.
There is only one active Major League Baseball player to be the last MVP for 2 different teams. Name that player.
He's MVP in Major League Baseball for 2 different teams.
For 2 different teams, and he's still active.
And he's still active, but he won the MVP award for 2 different teams.
Correct.
Gotcha. I don't know. Bryce Harper.
I hate you.
Oh,
Sorry, Lance.
Washington and Philadelphia?
He did, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Lance. Close.
That is
But no cigar.
unfortunate. Let's go to a really good player who won last week, I believe. Robert.
Uh-oh.
Robert, are you
bringing
ready?
You're bringing the heavy artillery out, Scrape.
Oh, hi guys.
Hi,
Hello.
Robert.
Are you ready, Robert?
He's ready.
All
Yep,
right,
let's go Aztecs.
All right. They tied it up 34-34.
Oh, did they? Nice.
Just as Robert came on the line.
All right, so this is an Aztecs question, but who is the Aztecs men's basketball leading scorer this season?
Oh, that's a gimme.
Lade.
Good enough. Ladie, though. Might as well get it right.
All right.
Robert. Ladie.
Here we go, Robert. Question number 2. Only 3 Major League Baseball teams have yet to have an MVP. Name 2 of the 3.
No MVPs.
No MVPs in team history. Name 2 of the 3.
Tampa Bay and Arizona.
Tampa Bay and Arizona is correct.
Really?
Yes.
Good for you.
Also the Mets.
The Mets have never had an MVP.
Really?
In the history of the franchise.
I found that pretty surprising too. Like Tom Seaver never got it.
He got some Cy Youngs.
All right.
So did Dwight Gooden and others, but no MVPs for the Mets, no MVPs for the Diamondbacks, and no MVPs for Tampa Bay.
Correct.
That's a great question, Scrabe. I think
Thanks.
that's one of your best ones ever.
Really?
Yes, and
I
very
agree.
good. Very good on you,
Thanks.
Robert, for getting it.
Robert gets it right, so he agrees.
Yeah, right. He liked
Here
it.
we go, Robert. Final question. If you get this, you're qualified for Las Vegas and you'll get those rugby tickets. Let me start this over. I'm going to ask this one instead. Ha-Seong Kim played KBO before Major League Baseball. What team did he play for longest in the KBO? The reason I asked this is because Jesse Agler is a huge KBO guy.
I'm all right. I don't think it's helping Robert or I out, but that's
I'm gonna
fine.
have to hit
Did Robert leave?
The Lions.
No, he went
the
with
Lions.
the Lions.
Okay.
It's a good guess. I mean, it's as good as
Stay
any.
there, Robert.
I think you're fine, Robert. I couldn't name a KBO team, honestly. I could maybe during the COVID break.
I'll give you one that
But
Jesse Agler has ingrained in my head. That's not the answer. The KT Wiz. I will never
Yeah.
forget that.
Nah, never heard of them. Can't name a single KBO franchise, Robert. So
Wow.
you are going to win today's Chris versus the fans.
Wow.
Nice job. What is it? Name of the team?
The Nexon Heroes.
Yeah, no chance.
Nexon.
No
Heroes.
chance. No chance. I'm barely up on the Japanese leagues, let alone the KBO.
I know about the Ham Fighters. I like those.
Nippon
guys.
Ham Fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Japanese league. I
Yeah.
can name some Japanese league teams. I can't name any Korean
Give me
league
another
teams.
one then.
What? Tokyo Giants. How about
Oh,
that?
That's easy enough.
Yeah, that's the
All right,
easiest
you
one.
just know that because of Tom Selleck. What was that
I know
movie?
a lot of them. Chibo Latte Mariners.
Oh,
I know a lot of Japanese Yakult Swallows.
okay.
Are
All
you
right.
good? Can I
Yes,
stop
yeah.
now?
What was that movie called with Tom Selleck when he went to Japan to play baseball?
Mr. Baseball.
It's a good movie.
Wasn't it?
I
You
haven't
like
seen it in
that
a
one?
long time.
So good. Couldn't remember the name of it. All right, Aztecs UNLV 34 apiece, 4 minutes into the second half.
Wait, did you say so good you couldn't remember the name of it? I mean,
That's
Tom
what I
Selleck
said.
was famous when I was like 3 years old, okay?
All right, you should know. Aztecs were down by 10 in the first half, but they now lead by 2. Butler just scored to give them a 36-34 lead. We'll take a break on Gwynn and Chris. Check some traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan.
All right, there's been a little turnaround in Las Vegas. Start the second half, the Aztecs, after shooting awful in the first half, and I mean awful, shot about 23%, down by 5. But they start the second half by making 8 of their first 9 shots. Wow. So things have turned. Darren Trammell's hit 3 3-pointers now. Jay Powell hit one also. Aztecs in the midst of a 12-0 run, and they're ahead of UNLV now 41-34. 13 minutes still to play in the Mountain West. Quarterfinal. So I feel a little better now, Skrabe, but certainly the game is not over. There's a long way to go. One NFL note to duck in. We haven't really gone NFL today, but the craziness continues around the league. The Seattle Seahawks have acquired quarterback Sam Howell in a trade with the Washington Commanders. Seattle receives Howell, a 4th-round pick, and a 6th-round pick. Boy, a veritable haul for the Seahawks. They have to give up a 3rd round and a 5th. So, yeah, I don't get it.
Wait, say that one more time.
I know. Seattle gets Sam Howell,
Okay.
a 4th round and a 6th round.
Okay.
Washington gets a 3rd round and a 5th round. So Washington moves up a round.
Okay.
In each of those selections.
So does that mean Geno Smith is not the quarterback of the Seahawks anymore?
Geno Smith.
Is he under? I don't know if
I
he's
think
under
that
contract.
I don't know where he's at, but it just means if he's still there, he'll have some competition. The other question is who's going to be the quarterback of the Commanders, and they're going to have to take. It's going to have to be a young draft choice, either that or Marcus Mariota, who they signed in free agency.
Doesn't sound good.
That doesn't sound great. You're right. Geno Smith is there.
And he's making a ton of
Seattle.
money, so I don't know what the heck's happening.
Well, they're not giving up much. Just want they want a better backup quarterback. Geno Smith got hurt a little bit last year. I don't know. That's what the Seahawks apparently are thinking here.
He's making his cap hit for this year. Geno Smith is 26.4 next year. He signed a 3-year, $75 million contract.
Well,
that's insane.
That means he'll be the starter. He'll get the first crack. But if you don't play well in the NFL, they really don't care what your contract is.
No, it's true.
They'll put you on the bench in a heartbeat.
Yeah, they want to win.
Yes, they do. All right, we'll take a break. Bottom of the hour. Big Five is coming up. Now, remember, at the top of the hour, 5 o'clock, we're going to have our Aztec. I'm watching the Aztec game. That's why I keep saying that. We're going to have our Padres roundtable.
Yes.
1 hour of solid Padre baseball talk with Ben Higgins, with Mr. Woods.
Yes.
Forgot his first name there for a minute.
Steven.
Steven Woods. No, I know. But I did forget it for a minute. Ben and Woods will be on. Elston and Annie, or Annie and Elston, will be on. And more importantly than all of them, Sammy Levitt will be on.
Yes.
So they're all coming up shortly. Stick around for our Padre roundtable at 5
You can
o'clock.
always tell, by the way, people out there, if the game is getting close.
Tense.
Because Chris sometimes
hard.
trails off as he's looking
I
at
know.
the
I'm trying to
TV.
watch the game and do a radio show. I think I do pretty well, actually.
Well, you're doing okay, but as the game goes on, there's more distraction.
You're right. Yeah, you'll be lucky if I'm even here at all for the Big Five.
Okay.
But it's coming up next on Gwynn and Chris.
Gwynn and
All right, welcome back to Gwynn and Chris. Got 11:58 to play in Las Vegas. Still a long way to go. The Aztecs rallying. Down 10 early, down 5 at halftime. But now leading UNLV by 5, 42-37, 11:45, clock running, second half. Aztecs, UNLV winner gets to take on Utah State, which had to go to overtime today to beat Fresno State in the first Mountain West Conference quarterfinal game. All right, Gwynn and Chris, Padres are safely in Korea. It is Skraby alongside here at the Odyssey Palace Studios. We're excited to have you here with us. Hopefully you're either listening, enjoying, or maybe you're watching on YouTube. When we welcome you to that.
Yes, or X or Facebook.
Yesterday you had what? 2,400 people watching you after the Dylan Cease trade.
It was pretty crazy. It was a steady 2,400, anywhere between 2,350 and 2,500.
People wanted to know.
They did.
Inquiring minds.
It was a big trade.
It was a big trade. All right, let's get to traffic and today's Big Five. Remember, Padre Roundtable will talk all about Dylan Cease and everything else at the top of the hour.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Well, the scattered showers we had earlier this afternoon seem to have moved on for the most part. Might still find some slick roadways, though, so definitely something you want to keep in mind in your travels. Northbound 5, an accident clearing past Delmar Heights Road. It's over the right shoulder. Getting reports of a hit-and-run crash up ahead just before Leucadia, not showing if lanes are blocked. And on the southbound side of the coastline, right before Encinitas Boulevard, possible brush fire, some smoke visible from the right shoulder. Northbound 15 before Market Street, there is a collision. No details as to where that's blocking lanes. In the South Bay, southbound 805 at the 5, an accident blocking the fast lane. And Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, as Chris said, the roundtable's in 23 minutes from now, but we are going to talk Dylan Cease for a second, but not what you think it's going to be, Chris, because let me just do this.
Number 5.
We talked about him going to Korea tonight. He may even be on a plane right now to Seoul, South Korea, but as I said, he's going to join the team and get acclimated. So I have 2 questions here, Chris, and they're not serious at all. Actually, one's not serious, one is decently serious. First one is,
okay,
he gets a first-class ticket, right? The Padres
Dylan
are paying.
Cease?
The Padres are paying for him to get a first-class ticket because I believe he's flying commercial, unless they.
I don't know. Dave Marcus had to ride in the steerage compartment.
That's not true. I saw a picture on Bob Scanlon's Twitter, and Dave Marcus is in the good seats.
Really? Good.
Yes, he's
That's
in, and
where
he looks so happy too,
as he should be. As he should be. I got to believe he'd be first class.
Yes, I agree with
and
that.
even if the Padres don't pay for it, Dylan Cease ought to be able to step up.
You don't send
upgrade.
4 of your top 10 prospects to get one guy and then put him in coach.
The Chargers would probably do that to a football guy. Hey, we traded for you. Can you fly out from Jacksonville?
Yeah.
We got a seat for you in row 38,
Yes.
Southwest, middle seat.
Middle seat.
Your boarding is C14.
Near the bathroom.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
That's the kind of stuff crappy organizations do. No, I think they'd get him a first-class seat.
Me
Go
too.
ahead.
All right, here's the actual question.
What's the question? Question.
Why have him go all the way there to come all the way back if he is not going to pitch?
Because he's part of the team. That's as simple as I can make it.
Okay.
He's on a team. I mean, let's take this time to get him over there, get him familiar with Ruben Niebla, get him familiar with his teammates. Absolutely. You're on the team. You should be there. I mean, you can say that during the course of a season when the Padres go to L.A. for a weekend and Darvish is not going to pitch. Why should he go?
That's a good point.
I mean, you're on the team. That's why you go.
Well, I guess because they could need you at any point.
Potentially, but you know, Darvish has pitched on Friday night at home or Thursday night at home. He's not going to pitch Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Why should he go?
Adam texted me earlier, and he was saying that he thinks he may pitch out of the bullpen or the arm barn.
What barn?
Are we gonna go with the arm
No,
barn?
we're
instead
not.
of the
We're going to call it the
bullpen?
bullpen.
I like the arm barn.
I
though.
don't like the arm barn.
So the bullpen, like maybe he pitches out of the bullpen.
Well, I don't know that he would pitch out of the bullpen in the Dodger games, but he might might throw a couple of innings in the exhibition games.
That's
they're playing.
true. It could happen. You're right.
So there's a lot of reasons for him to go.
Jacob says on the chat, makes all the sense in the world. He gets Korean barbecue too. So there you go. There you go. That's why
He doesn't have to go for that. He can just come to
No,
Convoy.
you gotta go.
He can come to Convoy Street
He
right here in
could.
Kearney Mesa. He's got all the Korean barbecue he'd ever need.
Number 4.
Actually, that sounds delicious right now.
Yeah.
I'm really hungry.
Uh-oh.
Lucas Giolito, he has officially closed the book on his 2024 season after getting season-ending elbow surgery. He's 29 years old. He signed a one-year, $19 million deal with the Red Sox this past offseason, but the elbow has been an issue for Giolito going all the way back to high school. He was expected to be picked toward the top of the draft, if not number 1, but he actually ended up falling to 16th overall because of that elbow. He ended up having Tommy John surgery shortly thereafter. I'm up first. This time he got an internal brace. Do you think owners should have insurance for injury? I do. I'm a player guy. I want them to get their money, reasonable amounts of money. But I feel like owners, this has got to be their one gripe about all the money that they pay these guys, is that this guy, Giolito, is not going to pitch once for the Red Sox this season, and he's going to make $19 million.
I know. This might have been the best thing that ever happened to Lucas Giolito. I mean, he's got to go through the arm thing and not play, but he's getting $19 million, and now he'll get another contract after he's healthy again.
That's the thing.
Because he could have pitched this year and been lousy and, never gotten another contract.
So, but you're right. I mean, he's undergoing surgery again, but he did not undergo Tommy John. But I do think the owner should have some sort of insurance for this. I don't think it's fair for players to hold owners hostage as much as owners hold players hostage.
Well, don't think that ownership doesn't have some sort of insurance on some of these contracts. I mean, I don't know.
You're right. I guess
they very well might.
There are. Yes.
You mean, I'm going to sign this guy. I'm going to pay him $19 million. I'm going to get some insurance that if he doesn't pitch at all, I don't have to pay all that out. I think that's
a great
smart
point.
Organizations might already do that.
I didn't think about them actually going to get like third-party insurance or something.
I'm not sure, but I'm thinking that it's a very good possibility, honestly.
All right.
So I'm gonna give you that one. I'm gonna say it's a good idea that's probably already been thought of.
I also don't understand. I don't know why it bothers me, but it bothers me when guys who are injured, who make lots of money, keep getting injured. I know it's not their fault, but it just bothers me for some reason.
Okay.
Number 3.
Let's see. I was looking through some of the contracts given out in NFL free agency, and Kirk Cousins has a really, 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 really good agent, Chris.
Yeah, he does.
If
Somebody somewhere really thinks Kirk Cousins is one of the great quarterbacks in the history of the sport.
The cat's meow.
Yeah.
If he plays out his contract with the Falcons, his career earnings would total $411 million, $669,486. He's going to make over $400 million. In a sport where playoff wins matter, Kirk Cousins has started 4 games and won only one of those playoff games. He has a 76, 67, and 2 career regular season record. Chris, how does Kirk Cousins keep getting paid?
Don't get it. I don't get it. Desperation. I mean, he seems like he's good enough to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, just not a winning one necessarily. His numbers are very good, right? Fantasy players love this guy.
Yeah.
But I would not be one of the teams willing to give him these kinds of contracts. But look at the Atlanta Falcons. They have not had a good quarterback since what?
Jeff George.
I was going to say Steve Bartkowski, which is even before
Ryan,
your time. But
he won an MVP.
Yes, Matt Ryan was pretty good. But since Matt Ryan, it's been a revolving door here. Teams are so desperate to try to win that they have the money. They can afford to pay the guy $400 million. They just can. I mean, you look at Baker Mayfield. You look at, the guy's had a miserable career. He had one good weekend in the playoffs last year and beat the Eagles on the road, and that's good enough for $30 million. His regular season record last year was 8-8, and they won in a 4-way tiebreaker.
That's true.
I mean, you look at some of these quarterbacks, they don't win anything. Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, I'll rip my own guy here, but Tua Tagovailoa, 6-14 in his career against playoff teams. That's it.
Wow,
that's
bad.
a 300 winning percentage.
Yeah.
Yet they're about to extend him, whatever it'll be, 30 million, 40 million
They're
a year.
almost forced to.
Yeah.
They have no choice.
I mean, teams are just out there. So Kirk Cousins has come along at the perfect time in history.
Hey, you're right. He has. And he's able to convince teams to give him guaranteed money, too. His last contract was fully guaranteed, the entire thing. Jacob has a great point. Jacob is making great points today. Kirk Cousins has made more money than Tom Brady as a quarterback.
Oh, without question.
Without question. How does he keep getting paid? Like Chris said, he's a good quarterback. He can get you regular season wins, but really if he could start winning playoff games, he would go from a tier of really good regular season quarterback to someone that we talk about down the road. If he could get some playoff wins, go deep in the playoffs, maybe get to a Super Bowl, but he hasn't done that yet. And in a league where you're paid for what you've already done, he's getting paid for what he hasn't done.
Yeah,
so I don't get it.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't give him the money. I wouldn't give Mayfield the money. I wouldn't even give Tua the money. I'd like to see some production.
What about Brock Purdy?
Next.
He's so far away from his big payday, too.
Yeah,
so.
He's not going to get it for a while.
By the way, Adam Klug, our resident Falcons diehard, big fan of this.
Really? He thinks Kirk Cousins is going to take him somewhere?
He's been watching Desmond Ridder and Marcus Mariota for the past couple of years.
I know, but he's still got to know in his heart this isn't going to get him anywhere. He knows in his heart of hearts that this is not going anywhere.
He's being positive.
Number 2.
So the Los Angeles Clippers got some bad news in regards to Kawhi Leonard. The 6-time All-Star exited the game 2 nights ago with what the team called thoracic spasms. He did not play at all in the second quarter against the Timberwolves and was seen walking away from the Clippers locker room in street clothes. He was later reported to have left Crypto.com arena entirely because he was uncomfortable sitting. I'm up first. I'm probably making way too much of this, but any issue with him leaving early?
Oh, leaving the arena early because he was uncomfortable?
I have an issue with this.
Well, you're first.
And
Go
I
ahead.
have an issue with it because it just tells me that if he had to go to the hospital, if he was seriously injured, obviously this wouldn't be a thing. But can't you just go sit in some lazy boy or stand in the locker room waiting for your teammates, cheering them on? If I came back in the locker room and been like, where's Kawhi? Like, oh yeah, he went home. I think I might be a little ticked off about that. If you guys just randomly went home during a show and I found that out, I would be like, what the heck? That's not a team player.
Do you remember Tony used to do this during the show?
Yeah.
Remember he used to stand over there?
Yeah. What about it?
Well, my point is Kawhi Leonard, I agree with you. He could have gone to the locker room and stood there.
Oh, so Tony
till the
stood
end of
in
the game.
studio. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, if Tony could stand in studio, Kawhi could stand in the locker room. Anyway, but I'm not going to ever be too critical of Kawhi.
I know.
He's my
I
all-time
know.
fave.
I know.
But yeah, I agree. I don't think it's a great look, but in this day and age of the NBA, superstars get, they get a little extra. Get a little extra deal on top of it. So, but yeah, as a great, perfect teammate in every way, shape, or form, go lie down in the locker room, watch the game, and wait for it to be over.
I mean, he's not the level of Ben Simmons as a teammate, so he's not leaving text chats with his teammates.
Yeah.
Number 1.
This is going to sound like I'm complaining, and I kind of am.
All right.
Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes has taken one for the team. Chris, he is the best human being on the face of this planet.
Okay.
The 2-time MVP has agreed to restructure his contract in order to clear an additional $21 million of salary cap space for the Chiefs, according to Adam Schefter. He became the highest paid player in the NFL when he signed a 10-year extension worth $450 million during the 2020 offseason. His cap hit for 2024 was going to be $58.6 million, but the platform or SpotTrack now has his numbers against the cap estimated to be just $37 million in 2024, so 21.6 in savings. 2025, it's supposed to be 66, and 2026, it's supposed to be 68. Well, who's to say they're not going to renegotiate again? Chris, what's the point of a salary cap if you renegotiate contracts every year?
It's to try to give the illusion
of parody.
There's well, that's why it's there. It's to give the illusion that there's parody. But the fact of the matter is there pretty much is parody. I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, there was at least 20 teams last year that were somewhere between 8-9 and 9-8. Or it seems like it anyway.
Yeah.
There's 2 or 3 really good teams. There's 2 or 3 really lousy teams, and everybody else is reasonably good. So the NFL's getting what it wants.
By the way,
yeah, they can manipulate that salary cap, and there's little ways around things, and these guys are able to do it.
Kind of like deferred contracts, $680 million of deferred contracts.
I know you threw a quick barb in on Patrick Mahomes, but
he's the greatest person on earth.
This is what winning quarterbacks do.
Okay, thank you, because Yvette said on the chat, Mahomes is a team player.
He is.
He's also got more money than he knows what to do with.
He should do this.
No, you're right. He should do this, but he's not a great player, or he's not a great guy because he's taking a pay cut. He's a great guy because he's a great guy, not because he's taking the pay cut, Chris.
Okay.
He's got money coming out of everywhere. He
Patrick
owns
Mahomes,
part of the Royals.
Patrick Mahomes is a big-time winner.
He is a big-time winner,
Chicken
but
dinner.
I cannot make him the Pope for giving up money that
that's easy for him to give
that
up.
he throws out in the trash every day.
If you were giving up some of your salary to somebody,
would be poor.
Then you'd be the Pope. But he's not the Pope.
Yes,
Fair enough.
If I was to donate my salary to the homeless, they would get maybe one meal out of it, but I would have nothing, and that would make me a great guy.
You'd be the Pope. I'll make you the Pope. But
Yes.
for now, he's the Pope.
I
Sorry.
hate that you just said that.
Hurry up. We got to get to the round table.
I know. We got 3 minutes to kill.
All right.
That was a really quick big five for some reason.
That was the whole thing?
Yeah, I thought we had more, but
I thought that was like story number 4.
No, that was
I didn't
story.
realize we were at story number 1.
No, let me see if I have
Are you
anything
sure?
else in there.
That's
Yes,
it?
I'm very sure.
All right, we're down to about 7. Let's see. What do we got? 7:59. Is that right? No, I think my box score is a little tardy here.
Little tardy, you say?
Yes. Has the Aztecs ahead. They went to commercial. That's why I'm looking online. The box score in front of me says 54-46. I thought they were up by 9, though. Anyway, Jaden Ledie's having a rather monster game for the Aztecs so far. 26 points, 13 rebounds. And that's with 8 minutes to go. Darian Trammell has been one of the heroes of this game. Remember, they were down by 8 right before halftime. 1 second left, and he stole the inbounds and hit a 3. And you talk about some momentum. The Aztecs then came out and hit 8 of their first 9 shots in the second half. 2 of them were threes by Trammell. So Trammell has been big in this game, 9 points, 5 assists. But mostly it's been the Jaden Ledie show. The Aztecs, after shooting awful in the first half, have brought their percentage up to 37%. They've also made 5 threes now after not making 1 for the first 19 minutes and 59 seconds.
You feeling better?
Yeah, but I'm never, until the game's over. But I was pretty miserable there in the first half watching them throw up air balls.
It wasn't
pretty to watch.
No, this was not a basketball team.
It was not pretty to watch.
A pickup game.
Yeah, but the Aztecs much better in the second half, trying to hang on, beat UNLV here, and they would face Utah State. The other 2 games tonight are going to be really good. Even if you're not a fan of either team, but you just like good basketball, I would tune in to see Boise State play New Mexico, and that's late night tonight. I think it's at 8:30, 9 o'clock.
8:30.
Yeah. But I'd also tune in to see Nevada, Colorado State. Both games have a chance to be really, really good. In the Mountain West.
College basketball, when they play those late games, it makes me feel like I'm young again.
I like them.
Because
I like
it's like
having something to
8:30
watch.
at night? Come on.
One quick note from the Mountain West. Fresno State coach Justin Hudson, the husband of Stacey Terry Hudson, announcing after the game today that he will not return as Fresno State coach.
Was this a similar situation to the Utah State women's coach?
I don't think so.
Well, at least he got to.
He had a chance to at least discuss. And yeah, he's not going to come back next year. That was pretty well known by most people, honestly, that he would not be coming back. But he can coach. Justin can coach.
What do you think went wrong then?
He didn't have the support. He had the program there around him. You've got to have the support of your school, your university. You've got to have the structure.
Do you think he'll come back?
Come back here to San Diego?
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be the worst thing I've ever heard.
To
be honest with you. Now, I don't know whether or not he'd want to be an assistant again. But again, your wife is the head basketball coach here on the women's side.
Yeah.
If you want to
makes life a little bit easier.
Yeah, make your life a whole lot easier, right?
Yeah.
So if you could just, get back in the same city as your wife. But that right now, the Aztecs have two pretty good assistant coaches, Chris Acker and David Velasquez.
We've talked to both of them on the show.
Yes. So Justin Hudson will not be back. All right. It is Aztecs 55, UNLV 48, 7:22 to go in Las Vegas. Coming up next, an hour straight of expert Padre talk.
Yep.
Ben Higgins, Stephen Woods, Craig Elston, Annie Heilbrunn, Sammy Levitt, all of them, a Padre roundtable from 5 to 6. Padre fans, do not go anywhere. It's next on 97.3 The Fan. And then after that, it's the Skraby Chronicles.
Yeah!
I don't know why I did that.
Free. With over 300 channels, thousands of movies and TV shows costing zeros of dollars.
Yeah, that does.
If you want to watch shows like Ghost, The Walking Dead, CSI, Star Trek, or The Price is Right, well, The Price is Right. It's free.
Interesting. Yeah.
Like Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, or Mean Girls won't cost you a thing because everything is free. All you have to do is download the app, which, by the way, is also free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
Get ready, because Scott's is taking over daylight saving time. It's such a big event that we're calling it day-long saving time. And now it's got real savings. In fact, it's the biggest deals of the year. Audacious? Absolutely. So don't wait. most in-depth discussion on the priors in our weekly Padres Roundtable, presented by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. Alongside Stephen Woods, Annie and Elston, and Gwynn and Chris, here's your host, Ben Higgins.
Wow! Settle in for what is going to be a, at least 6.5-month ride of baseball. Welcome to our 97.3 The Fan Padres Roundtable, presented by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. I am Ben Higgins of Ben and Woods.
I don't know.
By at least part of our crew for our first roundtable of the year. My co-host in the morning, Stephen Woods. Hello, Woodsy.
Good to see you, buddy.
I'm also
I'm not.
joined by our midday program.
They're working on the audio on the
We've
YouTube.
got Craig Elston from our Annie and Elston Midday Show. Hello, Craig.
Hi. Turns out Adam's laptop is blasting sound. I'm going to fix that.
This is what happens on the first roundtable
All right, so hold on.
of the season. And joining us,
Hold on.
Yuri
We're on
Arce.
live right
And
now.
I've got about 6% confidence that we're going to be able to hear him completely. We've got our own Sam Levitt, Padres pre- and post-game show host with us. Hello, Sam.
Greetings from Arizona. I see Woodsy wearing the 97.3 The Fan polo.
Yeah.
Haven't got one of those.
Look at that corporate guy.
I
He
saw
ran out and
Woodsy enjoying
changed.
some pizza as well. I don't have any pizza here, so what do I get here?
Well-
no pizza, no fan gear.
So Adam just, I guess he just ordered these 97.3 The Fan polos, and he left a stack. Everyone will get theirs, and I decided to put mine on for this because it's the first and last time I'll ever wear it.
Woods
So today
always
is
wears a
good-
97.3 The Fan polo. I've never seen you without one,
It's a
Woods.
good day for it.
Not joining us today on travel is our own Tony Gwynn Jr., who just landed in South Korea and will be with the team all week long, and our Chris Ello, who is en route back from Las Vegas. But we got a good crew here, and I've got to start, of course, in one place and get everyone's thoughts on the big news, the acquisition of Dylan Cease, the surprising move at the last minute of Padres spring training in Peoria, Arizona, for a package of 4 prospects. Let's start with Annie, because I have not heard your take on it yet, Annie, but when you saw that news, what was your first reaction to the Padres Dylan Cease trade?
I thought it was great. I mean, I've been saying all season long, if you guys have
what was
all
your first
offseason
reaction
that they
to-
needed more help in the pitching. You had a 1-2 with Musgrove and Darvish, and you're hopeful that there's going to be no injuries there. But after that, it really dropped off. You don't know what you're going to get with Michael King. He looks excellent, but you don't know how that arm's going to hold up. Then your 4-5, a lot of different arms that they were going to need to cycle through. You don't know exactly how they were going to hold up over the course of the season. So this gives you, it's such a different take when you're like 1-2 Musgrove Darvish, and then you're 1-2-3 Musgrove Darvish Cease, and then Michael King. I think it's huge for them.
Craig, we've been very in on the Padres prospects and following their progress. Jairo Iriarte and Drew Thorpe both having excellent spring trainings. Any reservations on your part when you saw the return for the White Sox in the deal?
When I saw the first 2 pitchers, I think I said on Twitter I was 1,000,000% behind this trade, and then they added the other 2 players, and I'm down to 100% behind this trade. You got to give to get. The Padres do one thing incredibly well with their farm system. They create rankings, they create buzz, helium, hype. They get people that other teams are excited about. And Drew Thorpe, who's near Major League ready, is a guy that Chicago can look at and say, hey, we could put him in our rotation really soon. Iriarte, they can dream on. Wilson, they can count on.
Yeah.
Zavala, who knows? That's probably the flyer in the deal. But none of these guys, except Steven Wilson, were going to materially impact the Padres' fortunes in 2024. Dylan Cease will.
So you were 1,000,000% in when it was Iriarte and Thorpe, and then it went down?
Well, just down to 100. It's kind of a joke. You know, I
Got
mean,
it.
I'm all the way in. I just thought it was so light with 2 guys. 4 guys make sense.
4 guys, yeah, 100%. The old 4-for-1 deal. Those always look staggering when they come, and you're like, okay, well, what flyer did we get back in the deal along with Dylan Cease? That's something that I thought may trickle out as well, but it never did. And you look at it today after a good night's sleep, it looks pretty good.
Let me ask Sam Levitt out in Peoria, because the entire month we've been hearing and seeing firsthand about the good vibes at Padres spring training, the good mix, players, everyone getting along. How, Sammy, do you think this trade at the end of spring training impacts those good feelings, the camp that Mike Schilt? Does it add to it, or does losing a couple of guys who have had good springs, could that possibly detract from the good feelings that the Padres have had?
I think it certainly adds to it. I think when you talk about guys like Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis Jr., Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish, all these guys that are in their prime and the guys that give this team a chance to get to the postseason in 2024. And obviously there are other players that'll have to contribute in a big way as well. But this was never a group, a season where you felt, I think a lot of us felt, where it was any kind of punt. Yes, there was a step back in payroll. Yes, there was going to be a reliance on younger players in a number of spots. But this makes it way, way more realistic that this can be a real postseason team and be a team that could do something special. It doesn't answer every question, but for those players in there, and especially the stars, the big ones, I got to think they're ecstatic about this. I do. Getting a guy like Cease, what he can do, adding a real, a pitching star. I mean, to add and solidify and stabilize that rotation. Obviously, we didn't have a chance to hear from those guys as they were boarding the bus yesterday, getting ready to go to Korea. But I think you can safely assume that clubhouse is pretty excited about the idea of Dylan Cease joining them, and especially the stars. Why not, right? You're there to win. These guys have made their money. They want to go out and prove something after how disappointing last year was. So to me, I would imagine it's very exciting inside that clubhouse, especially for the major guys.
The idea of the final piece has almost become a running joke in Padres fan circles, going back a decade to when Seth Smith was the final piece to put the Padres over the top. So I'm always hesitant to say that the acquisition of one player, no matter how good that player is, even of Juan Soto's caliber, can ever be called the final piece. But Craig, let me start with you. The acquisition of Dylan Cease, how much does it change your perception of what the Padres can be here in 2024? From a non-playoff contender or a fringe playoff contender, are they now a legitimate playoff contender? Where did they move in your mind with this trade?
Significantly up, in my opinion. I think that the team didn't have enough, and I've really spent the last 2 months on our new show kind of just putting it into the universe over and over that a move had to be made, something had to be done. There was room in this system to make a trade without bankrupting the system, to make the modern team better. And Cease just accomplishes a lot for the franchise because it takes away, as Andy was talking about, a lot of the risk. Before we had to count on 100% Musgrove and Darvish to get to 180 this year. Now those numbers go down a little bit because Dylan Cease is a workhorse. He's a guy who knows his body, who can put up 175 innings pretty much as an average in his career. And the knock-on effects are going to be really interesting in terms of when you take one slot instead of two slots in your rotation and make it your wild card, that's going to move one more pitcher into your bullpen, which means it's moving one more lesser arm out of the bullpen and back into the minor leagues. I think this is a much stronger pitching staff than it was yesterday.
Annie, same question for you. What was your level of confidence or expectation for the Padres 24 hours ago, and how has it changed with the news of the Dylan Cease trade?
I think it moved up. I think that they needed to do something because they have so many holes, and they still have holes. There's still holes over on the position player side, in the lineup, possibly an outfield, right, in the bench spots. So there's still holes, but you fill one. And also you take some pressure off of some of these hitters because now you've got a better pitching staff. You're not able to, or maybe you're not asking these hitters to go out and save you every single time, or ask the bullpen to come in every single time if you need it. So, look, Michael King might be fantastic. I mean, he might be able to go the whole season and never, miss a beat a la Seth Lugo, but you just don't know. And so I think this just gives them a lot of insurance.
This is our 97.3 The Fan Padres Roundtable, presented commercial-free. Don't have to go to any breaks here, by San Diego Roundtable Pizza, joined by Annie Halbrin, Craig Elston, Stephen Woods, and Sam Levitt today in Peoria, Arizona. And I've been holding on to this question because, and even haven't talked to Woods about it yet. Obviously, A.J. Preller can always surprise us, and there could be another move later today or tomorrow. They could add an outfielder. But if this is it, if no more moves are made before opening day, and I'll start with Sammy out in Peoria since he's been out there. Sam, would you consider this a successful offseason for the San Diego Padres, going back to the Juan Soto trade, the remaking of the bullpen, the smaller moves that they've made, and now the Dylan Cease trade? Has this been a successful offseason
for the San Diego Padres?
I think you have to put it in the context of the financial situation, the step back in payroll, and trying to put together a roster with all those factors in play. I would say it has been, when you consider all that. The idea that the Padres clearly had to trade Juan Soto. That was something they were going to do. So to get the return they got back, when you think about the Soto deal and ultimately getting the pitching depth you got back, getting Michael King back, getting Dylan Cease, a frontline starter, somebody who can be a true ace. Did you have to give up some stuff to get him? You did. But when you put it in the context of taking that kind of step back in payroll, having to pair it with trading somebody like Juan Soto, I think A.J. Preller did well. Obviously, there are still question marks like Annie was alluding to, but I don't know that this was going to be a perfect roster ever heading into the season. But I think in the context, especially from the step back in payroll part of it, I do. I think they've done about the best they can, and to end up with Cease and King in that mix in particular, and the pitching depth, I do. I think they made out pretty well.
Sammy says yes, Woods. Are we grading on a curve, though? The Padres have reduced payroll by now about $92 million, because they added about $7.5 million with the addition of Cease and then Steven Wilson off of the major league roster. Are we grading on a curve? Great offseason for reducing payroll by so much. Yeah. Or is it just a really good offseason no matter what? They addressed pitching needs that they were going to have to address either way. Even if they kept the payroll near the same levels, they still had to replace the guys that were there somehow that were becoming free agents. Good offseason. What's your evaluation?
They made lemonade. They absolutely made lemonade. They had to make lemonade, and it has to be good. It's got to be tart but sweet. You got to be able to get it down. People are going to have to buy it. So far, they have. And season tickets are sold out again. The fever pitch for this team is still through the roof. People are still excited. They're willing to get up at 3 a.m. to come watch a game at a casino. So, yeah, Padres fever has always been here. Getting that deal done yesterday and getting back what you got for Juan Soto, it hasn't played out yet. Juan Soto is in the MVP talk in the AL. I mean, he could potentially win an MVP. That being said, he's probably also a Met the year after that. You had to get that done. You had to make lemonade, and they did. They did, and I don't know that you could have done a better job. Now, I just saw a name come off the board. Adam Duvall has signed with the Braves for a very paltry $3 million.
Really?
$3 million. And that's one that you go, son of a. So now look, he's got extensive hit. Like Mike Petriello tweeted, like the Swallows returning to Capistrano.
The salmon swimming back upstream.
No, like the Swallows returning to Capistrano, Adam Duvall back with the Braves for $3 million. So could have helped this team, certainly. I still think we're a bat away. I do. I think one bat is out there, and maybe it's Tommy Pham, maybe it's not.
All right, so positive reviews. I like the lemonade analogy by Woods. Annie, you've covered the Padres and A.J. Preller for his entire tenure here as general manager. Is this the best version of AJ? Is he actually better as a general manager when you put some handcuffs on him a little bit and don't just say, AJ, you got an unlimited budget, do anything you want? Now with a little bit of, okay, you got to be creative. Is this the best version of AJ Preller?
I think it could be. I think that he did need to be creative. He doesn't have an unlimited budget. He is working within the front office. This isn't just AJ Preller. He's working within the front office to make additions or cuts or trades or things like that. But he waited this out. I mean, it came out right that he's been in talks with the White Sox, but that's probably been ongoing, as talks go over the course of an offseason. But he waited this out. He was patient. The White Sox, to their credit, they did too, right? Like they pitted these teams against each other. They scouted them. They waited till there was kind of a desperation, later in spring training and things like that. So it seems to me like it was a good trade for both sides. But for AJ Preller, I think like this is what he does, right? He builds up that farm system. He tears it down. He builds it up again. And I just don't think that you can hold on to all these prospects. Like, yeah, they're good prospects and you're still keeping quite a few of them, but they are at the end of the day also currency for you.
It's a point I made as well earlier. Even if all your prospects hit, you don't have a spot to play all of them. So the job of being a general manager is always going to be, identify your very best prospects, develop them as fully as you can, and hopefully they will be your young core and cheap that you can surround with other talent. But the rest of them, they're all just chips. They're all just chips to address needs and to bring in the talent that you need right now. And, AJ will be judged on whether he has made the right call on the chips that he has sent away versus the ones that he is keeping, the top 4 prospects. It's our Padres 97.3 The Fan Roundtable, presented by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. Annie Haubman, Craig Elston, Stephen Woods, Sam Levitt, Ben Higgins with you. And Craig, you brought up, I thought, a really good point about how Dylan Cease not only improves the starting rotation, obviously, but the bump down effect of moving guys into the bullpen, moving guys who shouldn't be in the bullpen off of the roster, how important that is. So I'll start with you and go around. And it will change, I'm sure, over the course of the season. But who now is your number 5 starter? Based on what you've seen in spring training, 4 spots now locked up, who wins that number 5 job for the Padres?
So you're asking my opinion, not what I think is going to happen, right?
Well, give me both.
Okay, I think it's going to be Johnny Brito. I think that's who the Padres will pick. I would select Matt Waldron.
Okay.
I think that Waldron is built out in terms of the number of innings he pitched last year between AAA and the major leagues and where he is right now in his development to be a solid average 5th starter in Major League Baseball, where he could give you 135, 140 innings of, a 4-ish ERA. And that is absolutely fine as a number 5 guy. If you sign Michael Lorenzen or Sean Manaea for $14 million, you'd be hoping for 140 innings of a 4-something ERA. Brito, the reason I say that is I think Brito's got the stuff that could play up a little bit when you put him in the bullpen. And he could either take Steven Wilson's role and be in there to face right-handers with that hard fastball slider combination, or he could take the Nick Martinez role and do a little bit of a long relief piggyback type action in the bullpen. Either way, I feel like you put Waldron in the bullpen, what do you get? I don't know if that stuff plays up. You put Brito in the bullpen, I think it plays up a little.
I think you're right. It's an either-or proposition. Let's check with Sammy Levitt, who's seen all of these guys in person. Sammy, who do you think opens? Now, they're not going to need that 5th starter until the 6th or 7th game of the season likely now, but who do you think opens as the 5th starter, Sam?
I think it will be Matt Waldron, and I think it should be Matt Waldron. To Craig's point on all of it, I thought Craig hit the nail on the head as far as why it should be Matt Waldron. I think he's had an outstanding spring. I think he's somebody who is built up innings-wise. And, look, it's no guarantee. I mean, I think there are advantages to somebody like Brito as well. But I tend to line up with Craig as far as I think it should be Matt Waldron based on what he's done this spring, based on his pitch mix, based on, I think, just the untapped potential of Matt Waldron, still learning how to use that knuckleball, sharpening up the other aspects of his pitch mix. It's just one of those situations where I think you get a good feeling about what he's done this spring, what he could be, the uniqueness to his arsenal with that knuckleball. I think it will be him based on what he's done this spring, and I think it should be him.
That's 2 votes for Waldron, although, as Craig said, he thinks it'll actually be Brito, but he votes for Waldron. Annie, who's your vote for 5th starter?
I think it's going to be Waldron. And I think that they're going to maneuver that spot as needed. I don't think whoever has that 5th spot for the beginning of the year is going to have it at the end of the year. And nor should they necessarily. Like, they're going to use these arms. When one gets fatigued, they're going to throw another one in. When one's failing, they're going to throw another one in. But they're also going to need to have some long men in the bullpen. I think they're going to need to have some swing men and some guys that can go multiple innings. And they've got now way more of an ability to do that with adding Dylan Cease.
And Woods, Waldron, or Brito?
I don't want to be a contrarian, but I think I'm kind
Randy Vasquez.
No, I think it's gonna be Brito, and I just pulled up the projections that they have on Fangraphs for all the Padres pitchers, and they've actually got Brito slotted in the 5, projecting him out to about 130 innings, and then they have Matt Waldron kind of further down the list, projected out to about 87 innings. I wouldn't mind either. Look, and it's. Every baseball team, and especially a bullpen and a rotation, is fluid. It's going to be fluid. There's going to be combos, and Mike Schultz got to look 2 weeks down the road to see, well, we're going to have a day off here, and this is where we're going to match up. They're going to be doing some interesting things. The good news is they have guys that can do it. I like the idea of Matt Waldron just being a little bit of a wrinkle, like, if the knuckler's on, let him go out and throw, and you can mix it up as you see fit. And I love what I've seen from Brito. It's not like either of these guys haven't earned the coveted 5th spot. They both have. I don't mind mixing it up and being a little bit more malleable. I think it's important to have guys that can do multiple things. I think both of these guys have shown that they can do it. But projection-wise, they've got Brito at about 50 more innings than Waldron right now.
Now I'm going to cast my lot with Waldron here at the start at least. But you're right. None of them are going 200 innings the entire season. They're going to need a team in that 5th starter and likely in the 4th and the 3rd spots as well, because Michael King is probably not going 180, even though he said he wants to. That seems like a stretch as well. So let's say it goes pretty well. Let's imagine a scenario in which the Padres rotation is operating on pretty much peak efficiency. Everyone they're putting in there is getting their job done. How do you develop? And Lanny, I'll start with you. How do you envision developing now your top prospects in Robbie Snelling, who just showed he's getting pretty close to the big league level, and then a younger Dylan Lesko? Do you think we will see these guys over the course of this season, or are the Padres deep enough now that they may keep them in the minor leagues for another year and target those guys for more of a 2025 debut?
That's a great question. I think that it's going to be as needed. So if all goes well, if you're in a scenario where everything is going ideally for them, I think maybe they don't touch them. Maybe you're bringing them up if you need them, but you get the chance to at least get them ready and get them going and get them in a position where they feel really comfortable, where you're not maybe in such a desperate need as you were if you didn't have so much pitching, So if all goes well and their arms are sticking, are healthy and are doing all right, I think you can bring these guys up or maybe, honestly, you can use them in a way that is little to no pressure on them, because you've got the other arms around them to kind of cushion that blow.
It's a good problem to have.
Exactly.
Depth is always a good problem, but you can't forget about other guys like Adam Mazer and some of the other pitchers as well. And Craig, what would you do to kind of handle both the future and the present? Trying to win now, but also knowing you're going to need these pitchers and you're going to need to advance them up at some point and give them an opportunity.
Well, I think one of the things that really hurt the Padres in 2023 was that when they had a problem at the big league level, the guys that they had to reach down for weren't of the caliber that they wanted.
It was lean.
Right? And eventually, at the end of the year, Avila and Waldron pitched okay. Yeah. And now Waldron's a part of the discussion. So that's awesome. But what the Padres couldn't afford to do was completely take away those top options. I do think the guys they traded, Thorpe and Iriarte, were probably 1-2 on the list of who gets the first call up if somebody gets dinged or gets hurt. However, now you're looking at guys like Mazer and Burgert, the more college pitchers, a little bit more advanced, to maybe rise up into that role. You've still got Lesko and Snelling on the come, the wild arms that could become future number 2 starters or aces. So to me, this is a great situation because now it's Brito, Vasquez, Waldron. Those are the guys that you're counting on to maybe step up on innings if somebody goes down. Vasquez is probably your number 1 spot starter now, and you're giving time for those kids to sort things out in the minors.
It's the beauty of adding one pitcher.
Yeah.
It's the beauty, the ripple effect of one pitcher is not just, oh, cool, slots right in, and this is a need. Everything gets extended. Now, it's going to cost somebody a job, like on the big league level. There's no question about it. Somebody's going to be sent down when they probably had a good shot at making the team. That being said, you're going to be the first guy we call because we're going to need a ton of people to help get through this season. They always do, and we always seem to run out of it at the very, very end. And it does suck losing those 2 guys, as you mentioned, Craig, the 1-2 first phone calls if somebody gets dinged up. But I still, with Avila, with the other names that you mentioned, more depth than we had last year for sure.
Sam Levitt, you've had a firsthand look at some of the pitching prospects, some of the pitching depth over this last month. We haven't seen everybody. I mean, I haven't seen Mazer, I don't think, throw once. Burger. Who's kind of impressed you? Anyone standing out that we're not bringing up in your mind that's done well at spring training?
I think the names you mentioned are right there. Look, I think there's a clear distinction between Mazer. By the way, it's Mazer.
Mazer.
Yes, Mazer.
That's how my Southern grandmother says measure, by the way. Mazer. Yeah, it's true. It's a true story.
You got to measure. You got to measure before you put it up on the wall.
I will never forget it again.
Measure twice, cut once.
Measure
Twice,
exactly.
cut once.
That's right.
I think there's a clear distinction, number one, between guys like Major and Berger, both who reached AA last season, and Snelling and Lesko. Let's remember, Robbie Snelling is 20. He spent 1 year in pro baseball. Dylan Lesko made his pro debut in June of last year after undergoing Tommy John surgery during his senior year of his high school campaign. They're a ways away still, Snelling and Lesko, and I know Snelling made appearances during the Cactus League and has impressed a lot of people in the backfields. And Ben, you asked me who's impressed. I think Snelling has been there. I've seen Lesko throw some bullpens. Look, the stuff looks really good. Major, Berger, obviously, we're in Cactus League games, but I would put those four guys in a bit of separate categories. Major and Berger, who have been at AA already. Snelling and Lesko, to me, the beauty now, and you talk about the path to the big leagues for these guys, the beauty of it now is that the Padres don't need to rush guys like Snelling and Lesko. They can let them get the proper seasoning in AA, wherever they go after that. Like, they have the opportunity to develop these guys at maybe a bit of a slower pace. And let's not forget, in the long run here, right now, Michael King's a free agent in a couple of years. Dylan Cease is potentially a free agent in a couple of years. And who knows, maybe they're Padres for the rest of their careers. But these things seem to sort themselves out. And if somebody like a Snelling or a Lesko or Major or Berger, if they are at the point where the Padres got to put them in the rotation, they got to be in the big leagues, they pitch well enough in the big leagues where they've got to be there every 5 days, for that kind of talent, you figure out a way to make it work. So I think that's an issue right now. Like, how do those guys ultimately make their path to the starting rotation for the Padres? I think that's a question you don't worry about right now, especially in the cases of the two most highly touted guys, Snelling and Lesko. These are very young guys who don't have a ton of minor league experience. And the beauty, potentially, and Cease helps this, is that you can bring those guys along, in a really nice developmental way. And you've got guys like Major and Berger who might be closer and might be a little bit more seasoned with the college baseball. So I just think that's a problem you kick down the road for a while.
It's funny when you know a guy who has a last name and pronounces it one way, you assume that everyone does. There was Andy Mazer, who was the Padres broadcaster, but he didn't pronounce it Major. He pronounced it Mazer. So, hey, there's Xavier, or is it Xavier?
Yeah.
Is it Trammell or Trammell?
Right.
They look the same, but they all pronounce them a little bit differently. So you do have to ask when you're a broadcaster. And Sammy always does his homework there in spring training. So I do appreciate that. All right. Spring training question. I think everyone's going to agree. The Padres have had a very productive and positive spring training. That's what players, coaches saying, even people who cover the team. So who do you give more credit to for the Padres? And I know it's a team effort, but is this a Mike Schilt thing? Is this a players taking it on themselves thing? Is this just a circumstances beyond the team's control that things were better this year, Annie, for the Padres this spring? What was the cause?
I think it's all of the above. I think players really are embarrassed about last year, and there's something about losing the way that they did where you come back to camp and you are more humble because you don't really have any other choice. I mean, it's kind of a manifestation of what happened last year. But then I think you also have Mike Schilt, who has seen the issues of the past, and he sees that this team needs maybe a little bit more organization, a little bit more communication, a little bit more understanding of what the expectations are. And then I think it's the circumstances. I think that they can also look across the road at the Dodgers and say, okay, well, we're not that team this year, but guess what? We've got a lot of good things going for us, and we're going to fight to at least be the best Padres team we can be. And so I think that there's a lot of things going for them that kind of happen after what occurred last year.
Yeah, Craig, I think the hiring of Mike Schilt, and again, a manager can only do so much, even in a season, but much less just a spring training. And there were questions. I mean, what really happened in St. Louis and why he left there and the relationships that he's had. But certainly through the first month, it feels like he was the right choice for the San Diego Padres, at least at this point.
Yeah, that's where I would, to answer your overarching, question, that's where I would put the credit for a productive spring, is that Mike Schilt has come in with the confidence and positive, welcoming attitude that I think is rare. And honestly, we all loved Bob Melvin too, right? So, like even when I was hearing you say the question, I'm like, well, isn't every spring training positive and productive because that's what they tell us and we all agree and no one's losing. So therefore it's positive and productive. But I did see a lot of changes this year because it went a lot away from me to us. And there was a lot of me last year in the 20. I don't mean myself. It was Manny showing up and talking about the price of eggs. It was, we're the Four Tops, we're this, we're the
baseball
Beatles.
card, yeah.
Right, yeah. Take a look at our baseball cards.
Where am I hitting in the lineup?
I don't like hitting here. In the
Yeah, I don't
lineup.
want to hit 2. I don't want to hit 3.
Good
I'm this,
God,
I'm that.
man.
Like there was a lot of that last year. And this year, I think to Annie's point from the players' side, they've come with a different attitude, but I think Mike Schilt has helped instill a different attitude.
And I don't know that Mike Schilt gave a big speech that, hey, we got to be more about the team and less about the individuals when he arrived.
I don't know that he had to.
Yeah, and so let me ask you, since we had a chance to have dinner with Mike Schilt at PF Chang's, what do you think is going to be what is going to be the biggest change for the Padres under Mike Schilt this season? Like what will we see as fans that looks different compared to the Padres under Bob Melvin, if anything?
It's a hard question to answer. I haven't seen him manage a game for the San Diego Padres yet, but just from chatting with him, I mean, he pretty much told us. I mean, I asked him, I said, hey, do you think that this team has gotten pushed around a little bit? And he said, yeah. And I said, any plans to stop that? And he said, sure are. And I said, okay, because as a fan, when my captain wears 98 to the back and my superstar is getting dusted under the chin, I don't know, 4 times a week. And I said, it sucks to watch. Now, I'm not advocating for a full-scale brawl every game, but I don't like teams coming in, we're super comfortable playing here. Everyone's our buddy. And Mike Schilt pretty much assured us that that's not going to happen anymore. And I do and did really, really appreciate that from him. He looks a little bit unassuming. He's not at all. And, I wish I could tell the story of what he told us in the parking lot. I can't. The FCC won't permit me to do it, but I love him so far. He said all the right things. He's done all the right things. But what it boils down to for me, Ben, when we sat down with Manny Machado, who we've interviewed 4 times now, 3-on-1, when he just sat down at the table, give me the mic, and just opened up and said, we said the wrong things. We did the wrong things. We're embarrassed. San Diego deserves better. And I sat back and went, well, this is the easiest interview ever. We didn't have to ask him anything.
Yeah.
He just took the bull by the horns. And if that's the pervasive attitude in the clubhouse this season, I look for at least, I don't expect this team to go out and win 105 games. I expect you to play your asses off every night and play hard. If you lose, we can live with that. It's a hard game. But act like you care this year. That's my number one thing. Act like you give an S about San Diego and the fans that fill Petco Park. I feel like they're going to do that.
Sammy,
I feel like
you spent every day pretty much at least a few minutes with Mike Schilt at dozens now of pressers and scrums. And he comes off, sometimes goofy, sometimes, in a good mood. He's an easy conversation, but have you seen maybe the other side of Mike Schilt a little bit as well so far this spring?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a seriousness to him as well. And I think, Woodsy, Ben, you've seen that as well. There is, a seriousness and attention to detail. I think it's important to remember, Mike Schilt's background. This is in player development. This is somebody who rose himself through the minor leagues, managing through the minor leagues, and got all the way to the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, a really prestigious organization in Major League Baseball, and did that on his own, did that through many, many years of work. And that's what I feel he brings as far as a mindset. I mean, I've talked to a number of guys about it. There is and again, this time of year, spring training, you hear a lot of this stuff, so you have to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. But there has been a sense of togetherness. There has been a sense, I think Joe Musgrove put it yesterday, of loving on each other, of pulling each other up. And I thought it was telling what Joe said. I thought it was telling what Manny said to you guys. I think this team understands they have to play in a different way and with a different mindset collectively than they did a year ago, because what they did a year ago simply didn't work. And I do think Mike Schilt has set the tone that this team will play with a different identity this year. What exactly that means? Is that going to be tougher? Is that going to be not taking, guys getting chin music? We're going to find out, and we might find out pretty quickly. But I think this team very well may play with more of an edge this season and not take a whole lot this season. And I think that'll probably come from up top and from the manager's step of the dugout. So I do think there is that side, and I'm intrigued to see what that looks like ultimately.
It's our very first 97.3 The Fan Padres Roundtable of the 2024 season, presented commercial-free by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. Now, we're just a little over halfway. It's been all serious Padres talk, but we need a little halftime show. Loosen things up. So,
is that where we eat the pizza?
Well, no, we talk about the pizza.
I think it's all gone. I think the whole sales staff
I want to ask everybody their favorite pizza toppings. I mean, Roundtable is known for, they got the King Arthur Supreme. They've got the Guinevere's Garden Delight, the Maui Zowie with the pineapple and the Canadian bacon. What's your favorite pizza topping, Annie Heilbrunn?
I have to go vegetables.
Vegetables.
Boy, you're in the wrong business and in the wrong room.
Yeah.
Nice veggie pizza.
Are we talking like olives? What's the
peppers,
vegetable?
olives, mushrooms.
Right.
So maybe some spinach.
Guinevere's Garden Delight.
Sure, that sounds great.
Is what Annie's going to get. Craig?
I'm going to definitely have pepperoni on my pizza. And usually I like to go green pepper onions as, a nice kind of a tangy to it.
Woodsy?
Is a hot dog a sandwich? Is what I wanted to ask you.
Putting a
hot
dog sandwich.
I don't even know the answer to this. I worked with you I know you don't like pepperoni because it gives you heartburn.
Correct.
But I don't actually know what your favorite pizza topping is.
Cheese.
Oh, cheese. I will eat sausage. I will eat Hawaiian. I will eat.
When you are the parents of two young children.
Yes.
There's nothing better than loving cheese pizza because that's what you've got all the time. And that's what's always left over is plenty of slices of cheese pizza.
Also, if you like crust, they hate crust.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
just eat crust all the time.
Now, Sammy,
Exactly.
you have an East Coast perspective for us. Pizza takes here on our roundtable.
I'm going to throw a curveball at you guys. How about ziti? There is nothing better than
like
a
the
ziti
pasta
slice
on a pizza.
A baked ziti slice. Yes.
I've never even
I'm
heard
gonna
of
put
this.
that in the topping category. It's big in New York. A ziti slice, a baked ziti slice. I'll give you the place. Pizza place, Hewlett, New York. Still the best ziti slice I've ever had.
Ziti?
Baked ziti
Like,
on pizza.
Sammy,
It's actually kind of under the cheese. It's not quite a topping, but it's sort of baked in to the pie.
It's the last thing I need. Like, it sounds amazing. I love ziti.
Like a
I love
spaghetti
pizza.
sandwich. Like just put pasta
I've had
inside
it.
of the bread.
Divine possibilities here.
The spaghetti sandwich.
They're unbelievable.
What if pizza but more carbs?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I like a lot of pizza toppings, but Fancy Ben loves a dollop of ricotta cheese.
Yeah, that's good. I agree.
On my pizza slice. I really love a little dollop of ricotta.
How dare you call it ricotta?
Ricotta. I'm not Italian.
Ricotta is so lame.
I'm not Italian.
Ricotta.
This is the ricotta cheese.
All right.
Ricotta cheese.
Get
All
back
right.
to business.
Back to
man.
business
This
of the
is
Padres. And
unbelievable.
before the Dylan Cease trade this spring, we were talking about one different person, Jackson Merrill, and the kind of spring that he has had. Well, he's clearly on the plane. Mike Schilt all but said
He's off the plane now.
He's off the
They're
plane.
off the plane
That's
now.
right. He all but said he will be your opening day center fielder. The question to start, and we'll start with Annie. What kind of rookie season is Jackson Merrill going to have for the San Diego Padres?
Oh,
Can I give me
Benjamin?
give
We've
me
been
an
talking
estimate.
about this for the last 4 months, and I don't think any of us know, right?
That's what the roundtable's for. Here.
Last night, Ben on our live stream said Rookie of the Year. So that is
I like it. Okay,
that's where the bar is.
I like it. By the way, Dylan Cease, according to Bob Nightingale, is on his way to Korea on a different flight right now.
Do you think I assume they sprung for first class, right?
I would hope so. Good,
Business
good
class,
miss.
first class.
Be pretty funny.
He's certainly not in
Goodness.
Coach Plus, I would think.
If Adam was booking, can you just pay for it and we'll reimburse you? Maybe we might reimburse you.
I didn't say. By the way, I didn't say
He did.
he's going to win the Rookie of the Year
You said
award.
potential Rookie of the Year in the fact that he is in fact a rookie.
But part of the difficulty of winning Rookie of the Year is, are you going to be on the team?
Are you
going
gonna
to
be there?
The fact
Yeah.
that he is their opening day, and looks like he's going to be given every single opportunity without anyone really breathing down his neck to steal his spot. They can go through some struggles and he'll still get that opportunity. That's the first hurdle to overcome. You got to stay on the team to be a Rookie of the Year candidate. And Jackson Merrill is giving the impression that he's here to stay on the team, possibly.
Yeah, I think I'm not ready to concede that he's going to have a rough season, but there's going to be struggle. I would imagine there's going to be struggle because there always is. And so how is he going to bounce back from that? By all accounts, everyone said, hey, he had some struggles last year. It's not going to be the same as what it could possibly be in the big leagues. I think if the rest of the lineup does well, like if the 1 through 5s do pretty well, it takes a lot of pressure off of Jackson Merrill. If they don't, then you start looking at different places where you can sub guys in. You're not going to move a Manny Machado. You're not going to move a Bogarts or a Tatis. So how else can you better the lineup? I think that's where maybe more pressure might come in on him. But if he just kind of gets to acclimate and do all right and, let man center field over there next to Tatis and just enjoy it a little bit, I think that he's going to be all right.
Craig, I don't want to make too many Shohei Ohtani comparisons, but can Jackson Merrill win a Cy Young Award this year?
Ben has him pegged for MVP as well.
Right. Yeah.
So you know.
He's going to go down for a week and then he'll get comeback player of the year.
That's right.
It's going to be a
no,
trifecta.
I mean, 250, 12 homers, 22 stolen bases, 315 on base percentage. Is that a good year for Jackson Merrill?
Not a lot of people hit 250 anymore.
Well,
I mean
honestly, it would be a pretty good year because
it
I wouldn't put his power to that level. I would actually think he might hit for a slightly higher average, but with less power.
I mean, it makes a lot of contact. You're going to get some hits when you make contact like that.
The number one carrying tool for Jackson Merrill to get to the big leagues is his bat to ball.
Yeah.
It's his hit tool. It's rated as a 55 present, 70 future value on Fangraphs. Okay, just by comparison, because I was pulling this up, CJ Abrams was a 50-70. Okay, so he's projected to be a little bit further ahead of where CJ Abrams was when, remember, he came up at a similar age, was thrown into the fire, and did not hit very well at all for San Diego. Wound up being traded and didn't hit well in the first half of last year, and then in the second half started to show that promise of what a great big leaguer he might just be. Honestly, I think we are right now putting ridiculous expectations on Jackson Merrill. My first and foremost question is, what's he going to do in center field? Center field is the second most important defensive position on the diamond. We have seen what's happened at Petco Park with a bad center fielder. It changes everything. I'm not saying he's a bad center fielder, but when he suits up in South Korea, it's the first time he's ever played the position.
I'm the first person to try to be as reasonable and moderate as possible. But I also believe that why should I have lower expectations than Jackson Merrill has for himself this year? And he is the one really who has kind of increased my expectations, because every time that kid opens his mouth, it's like, you're having a sensational spring. It's awesome. It's like, I can do better. I expect this from myself. I need to be doing this. Why wouldn't I be doing this? And I know the point has been made that if he starts in center field on opening day, he will join Ken Griffey Jr. and Andrew Jones is the only 20-year-olds to do that in the last 50 years. Woods, you made the good point. If a team's desperate enough, Bo Woods could be the starting center fielder on opening day at the age of 6.
Yeah.
Because did you earn it? Did you force your way on there? Right. Or is your team simply in dire straits, so you're out there because you have to be?
Well, the point I made yesterday, Ben, was one that at 6 weeks ago, I was like, this is absurd. I mean, this is absurd. We are forcing this kid into this position, and he's destined to fail. Now, after watching him, after meeting him, after talking to him, I go, okay, though it's starting to even out. He's not only earned it, but we also need him there, right? Everything has worked out. Had he gone out and hit $120, I know it's spring training, gone out and hit $120, look completely lost out there, I'd go, dude, you're forcing this issue. Go get Michael A. Taylor. At least he can play defense. I'm so down to give this kid a shot, because after hearing him, after talking to him, I go, well, he knows he can do it. He knows he can do it. I don't expect massive numbers from him. We didn't get massive numbers from Trent Grisham. I don't think he's going to play defensively as well as Trent Grisham did, but I think he's going to be fine. And if he's hitting in the 9 hole, he puts the ball in play, good things can happen. Huge fan. Don't expect too much from him. He's going to suck at times. He's going to suck. He's 20 years old. We have to be patient with him. I know it's not any of our strong suits, but he's going to stumble. He's going to face 2 of the nastiest pitchers he's ever seen in the first 2 games.
The 2 nastiest.
The 2 nastiest. Yeah, 100%. And I said yesterday, if he goes 6 for 8, I'm not crowning him. If he goes 0 for 8 with 8 Ks, I'm not dumping on him either. It's going to take some time.
Sammy, let's bring you in with your Jackson Merrill projections as well.
I think it'll be a roller coaster. I think there will be moments and stretches where he looks great, and I think there will be moments and stretches that are really, really hard. And I think the key for Jackson is really 2 things. Number one, how can he adjust, and how quickly can he adjust in the major leagues? To his credit, he did that really well last year because he had a really slow start at Fort Wayne, and then he heated up in a big way really throughout the rest of the campaign. So it's going to be about how quickly can he adjust, how can he figure out how to get through his struggles. And I'm with basically what you all have said. You're just looking for him to hold his own, both defensively, offensively. The key to this Padres season, let's be honest, it's not Jackson Merrill and what he does. This is still going to come down to the guys you expect it to come down to and what they do. And I think you hope around that Jackson can just hold his own and show you flashes of what he's going to be. I think that's the reasonable expectation at 20 years old and for as little experience as he has in the upper levels of the minor leagues. With all that said, he is supremely talented, obviously, and he is supremely confident. He really, really is. And it's something that has stood out every single day of spring training, every time he talks. And obviously the results in the Cactus League, he ran with it and he sees the opportunity, and credit to him. But I think the reasonable expectation is Jackson, go out there, play good defense, hold your own in your first year in the major leagues. And hopefully these stars can sort of carry the way. Hold your own, ride the roller coaster, do that. And I think it'll be a successful first season in the major leagues for Jackson Merrill.
It's our 97.3 The Fan Padres Roundtable presented by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. A little product placement here for Adam on our YouTube stream as well. And I want to thank the Encinitas Roundtable Pizza for hosting at least a dozen of my youth soccer team and baseball Little League parties at the end of the season. There's probably still a picture of me on a plaque somewhere up there.
Anybody can find that
at Roundtable Pizza.
That would be appreciated.
And it's been there since I have grown up my entire life, and they've been a part of my childhood for sure. All right, even if you're as confident as I am in Jackson Merrill, still don't really know much about left field and the non-Manny Machado third base / designated hitter position for the San Diego Padres. So, Annie, let's start here. How do you think those 2 spots are going to pan out this season for the Padres? Will there be another signing? Will someone grab a hold of it? Will Graham Pauley also, be alongside Jackson Merrill? Is it just Jurickson and Profar out there and left? What do you see happening here?
I thought it was going to be Graham Pauley, and then they would maybe, I don't know what they would do with Graham Pauley. That's the thing after Manny Machado comes back, because if you're going with kind of what Mike Schultz has said this whole camp, which is they don't want their prospects really having to, spend a lot of time on the bench, then what do you do with Graham Pauley? Now, maybe it's a situation where they'll work that out after they get to it, but I'm starting to think it's going to be Tyler Wade. I'm not sure if Graham Pauley is going to make this roster right out of camp. I'm thinking it's maybe going to be Tyler Wade, and they can always bring Graham Pauley up later if they want to or they need to. But it's good. The bench is an interesting thing. I mean,
that's one word for it. Interesting is a word.
It leaves a little bit more to be desired than I think any of us would like. But maybe Preller's not done. Maybe the Cease thing was the beginning, and now he's able to make a few other fringe moves that he might have wanted to make.
He goes. You know how he operates.
Yes.
I mean, expect something by noon. I would say he's in Korea, but it doesn't mean he can't.
He's
get
broken the seal.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
And now the moves may start to flow. Yep. At this point. So, Craig, do you anticipate they have about $13 million left still under the luxury tax? Are they going to address left field, designated hitter? There's still some names out there on the market. How do you see those 2 positions playing out?
I think 100% one more veteran bat is coming to the San Diego Padres. I would love to see 2, but I don't think there's, as you guys have talked about a lot and we've talked about too, you need to leave at least some buffer to the luxury tax if you're going to be committed to staying under it. And I am completely fine with being committed to staying under the luxury tax this season. So I think one more bat really puts this team in a much better position because, I want to be clear. And I see the folks in the chat.
Tommy Pham also know that though, and he's holding out for as much as he possibly
if
can.
Adam Duvall's getting $3 million and Tommy Pham's seeking a 2-year deal, he's going to be out on the market a lot longer.
Yeah.
He's got to know where he is. Now, personally, I still think the single best fit in the market for the Padres is Brandon Belt because he could step in and be the number 1 left-handed bat in this lineup walking into the parking lot. Right now, you're asking Jake Cronenworth, who's had a couple of down seasons, to be that player for San Diego and hitting the number 3 slot for you all season long. If that works out, amazing. It's going to be a great year for the Padres. But I think Belt takes pressure off of him and then by knock-on, pressure off of Merrill and gives you – he can't play first base all the time like you'd like, but this team has positional flexibility. If they want to goof around, put Kim at third and Bogarts at short and Crony at second, they could do that.
Yeah.
They've got that kind of team. So I still think a left-handed bat would really help, but if they do sign Tommy Pham, I'm happy that with that.
Or if you just want to go with the best offensive player, it still might be JD Martinez, Woods.
Yeah.
That's out there just to be the DH is the best, most proven offensive talent left.
I think it's really going to be dependent on Manny Machado and when he's ready to come back and play third base full time. And with the elbow still recovering, he started to mash, so he started to hit, which is a really good sign. But we need Manny Machado at third base. When that happens, Ben, then you can look at because they have a lineup to make in a few days. And it's got to go up against Tyler Glass now. Who is your designated hitter? That's Manny Machado. So now Tyler Wade is probably going to be in the 8 hole with rookie Jackson Merrill in the 9 hole. It does not give me a lot of confidence. I don't know what I'm going to get from Jackson Merrill, but Tyler Wade has been around a while. He's got a 65 WRC plus, I believe, in his career. 65.
For the non-statistically oriented, that's not good.
It's not good. It's like my grade. If 100 is the best grade, he has a 65. Is the average grade. Yeah, 100's a C, right? So, yeah, man, I think it's dependent on what Manny does. Now, if you bring JD Martinez in now, Ben, and he's starting against the Giants and Bob Melvin in a week or so, or 2 weeks, and Manny's not ready, what do you do then? Where's JD Martinez play? So they're kind of waiting on his health.
All right. I've saved the last few minutes for my final question. I want to go around to everybody, and it is fill in the blank time. Finish this sentence, Sammy Levitt. We'll start with you. The Padres will make the playoffs if put them on the spot.
The Padres will make the playoffs if
don't give me they win enough more games than 8 other teams
outscore their opponents.
The San Diego Padres will make the playoffs if the trio of Xander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis Jr., and Manny Machado do the things that they are capable and we know they can do.
I will say the Padres will make the playoffs if they turn around their record in 1-run games and find a way to win some close ones, walk it off like we saw a couple of them in 2022, and, take advantage of the opportunities that are presented in front of them. Woods?
I think it's health dependent. I think the Padres make the playoffs with this roster going into right now if they stay healthy. And I mean Joe and I mean you. And those two guys, they're just integral. And if Manny stays healthy and Xander stays healthy, I think this team makes the playoffs.
Craig?
I'll just take it a little bit more specifically and say if Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove, Michael King, and Dylan Cease add up to 650 innings or more, the Padres make the playoffs.
I like specifics. That's good. And they need to replace those innings. Annie, what do you think?
I think it's the top in the line at the top of the lineup. I think it's everyone who Sam said, but I also think it's Jake Cronenworth.
Yeah.
I think it's Ha-Seong Kim
good
having
answer.
as good of a year or more. I think you need all these guys who struggled last year. You don't have to have career years this year, but you got to be solid. You got to be good.
Man, Jake Cronenworth does feel like a pivot player for the San Diego Padres
Absolutely.
this season. The lineup looks so much different with Jake pretty much penciled into the 3-hole. If he has a bad season, that can destroy the first inning and the third inning. And if he has a good season surrounded by the guys that he's surrounded by, the sky's the limit for the Padres offense. He feels like such a pivot player for the Padres.
And
this
you
year.
didn't say run differential. As they noticed in the chat, you did not
Apparently
say run
it's not as
differential.
important as I thought it was last
Can
year.
we just say you've done a great job running this roundtable, Ben?
Thank
You
you.
really
He's
have.
a super pro.
You
super
pumped him
pro.
up, but he is everything that
Oh, yeah.
you pumped him up to be.
100%.
Woods always likes to take me down a peg, but when
Never-
it comes
No,
to
I
my
don't. I built you
moderating
up.
skills, you
You're
build
out
me
of
up.
your mind.
Building up my moderating skills.
The
Well,
best.
that's
Best
good
in the
news.
business.
Good news is we got a lot more of these throughout the course of the season, and they
With
will.
more people in this room.
Yes,
That are
yes.
currently even in here right now.
Yeah, we will have Chris Ello
We should
and
do a
Tony Gwynn
rotating
Jr.
cast. How about that?
joining us.
Maybe
Well,
just rotate one spot
Every
there's
3-4
enough of
weeks.
us,
Everyone
you
fills
know.
it for you.
That's right.
Woods is going to Disneyland one Thursday
Yep.
in May, so we'll miss one here and there. But starting April 4th, which will be after the first week of the regular season, we will be here every Thursday for the first airing, at least from 10 to 11 a.m. of our 97.3 The Fan Padres Roundtable, presented by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. Annie, Craig, Woodsy, Sam in Peoria, Tony in Korea, Ella wherever he is. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.